What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara. I am Sharif, and as per usual, we are going to wait for the chat to populate so we can do some shout outs, do the roll call, borrow something off the Katina man there. There we go. Big James Dell. And then Hold My Beer. I do like that name. Tim is in. Look at that. These names are great. They get better by the week. Fat Figga. And then we got Patrick Langlois, Rich Naples, Big Kevin Mendoza, as well as Joseph L. coming in there. Up Candle. That is another really good name. Up Candle as well. I love these names. DVD. What's up, my man? D Rich. Y Brothers United. Crazy Stitch Lady is back as well. B Davis also showing up. Jewel Nerd. I like that as well. That's a nice one. All right, guys. Just wanted to shout out everybody there. Great to be back. I'm not a homebody. I do not like being at home. I was just telling the Katina man that, but we are back and we have more topics to cover today with respect to level 2. I know the Obi-Wan, the Kenobi, filling in and doing a fantastic job. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you he's a better level 2 reader than me. So I'm going to try to do the best I can today and kind of give you a bit of a 411 about some of the basics of level 2, because we're going to take it real simple here, Adara. Let's get right to it. No time to waste on this one. What the hell is level 2? Some people will know all about it. Some people will have no idea about level 2 because the questions in the past, I'm sitting like, well, Sharif, what are all these things moving around on your screen? What's all these numbers? And if we can go to the screen here for a sec, this is what we call level 2 over here. We have on the left the bid and on the right the ask. And then you're going to see different prices with numbers beside them. Well, those are the orders. It's not one order at 69.56 on ARM. It's basically, this represents 1,000. So the number over here is representative of 1,000. So there's 1,000 lots sitting on the NSB book at that level. And then you'll see over here where it says MPID, that is the gateway. We're going to get into all what that means. But essentially what we want to know is, what is the highest bid someone is willing to pay in the market at any one moment? You're going to see that on the left column. What is the lowest offer anyone is willing to offer at any one moment in the market? You're going to see that at the right column. And then you're going to see the market. This is why they call it market depth, because you see every single order and the amount of shares there beside it. So that's just a quick introduction into the visual level 2. Let's talk about what, the fundamental, the theoretical level 2 is. So level 2 is essentially an order book for NASDAQ stocks, NYSE stocks, over-the-counter stocks. It doesn't really matter. All of them being kind of very similar. Orders are placed through many market makers and market participants. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. So the level 2 will show you the ranked list, like I was just saying, of the best bid and ask prices from each of these participants. And the participants being here, the market makers, reflected in these 3-letter acronyms over here, which we'll get to in a second. This gives you detailed insight into the price action. Knowing exactly who has an interest in a stock can be extremely useful, especially if you're day trading. And I'm going to give you why day trading is more useful. Why level 2 is more useful for day trading as opposed to long-term investing or swing trading. We'll explain why in a second. Here is basically like what I said. Here is what level 2 looks like, and I'm being kind of a little bit off with this new setup that they have there. The production team stays undefeated with how they set up the screen. I do like that. All right, players in the marketplace. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. There are 3 types of players in the marketplace: the market makers, the electronic communication networks or ECNs, and the wholesalers. Let's talk about market makers first and foremost. They are the ones that we interact most with on a daily basis as day traders. These are the players who provide liquidity in the marketplace. They are legally bound to buy stocks when no one else is buying and sell when nobody else wants to sell. They are making the market. A lot of people will remember, what's that guy? Madoff.
Oh yeah, Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff was actually, before he got into this whole investment Ponzi scheme thing, He was actually a market maker, and he actually had a good reputation, believe it or not, on Wall Street, because during the not the financial crisis, but before that, there was I think it was a dot-com bubble. He was market making. He was picking up the phone. Back then, you had to pick up the phone. It wasn't all computerized. And he was buying when no one else was buying, and he was selling when no one else was selling. No market makers were picking up the phone during that time. He did. And it was kind of funny because, you know, he built himself a really good reputation that way for, you know, standing up when no one would. And then obviously we know what happened after that. So that is kind of what a market maker is. They buy when, you know, they make the markets. They make sure that there's liquidity so that if Adara wants to buy 10,000 shares of NVIDIA, the market maker makes sure that they can fulfill these types of orders, okay? So they make the markets. Second player we want to talk about is the electronic communications networks, or we're term them ECNs. They are computerized order placement systems. Anyone can trade through ECNs, even large institutional traders. So institutions and retail traders alike. And we're going to talk a little bit about how institutional traders can actually hide their orders using these ECNs, as well as, you know, other market makers. We'll get to that in a second when we talk about tricks and deception, the last topic there. Third and, excuse me, still under the weather. Third and final participant in what we call here the marketplace players is the wholesalers, or otherwise known as order flow firms. Who the hell are these people? Many online brokers sell their order flows to wholesalers. Where have we heard that before? Robinhood, right? These order flow firms then execute orders on behalf of online brokers, usually retail brokers. I was about to call them blokers.
I heard that, yeah. You spent too much time watching the Premier League.
Honestly,
the British.
yeah. And the thing is, bloke is not even a bad word. It's just like saying like a dude.
Yeah,
right?
like, yeah, he's a good bloke.
Shout out to Adam.
Yeah.
All right. Each market participant is recognized by the 4-letter ID that appears on the level 2 quotes. Here are some of the most well-known. And I have some of my papers over here, and people have been asking about this for a while, ever since I kind of referenced this paper. The thing is, though, the IDs that we have, the MC IDs, are proprietary to P-Pro 8. So sharing these with you guys may not be all that helpful. So I'm going to skip that step. I'm sure you can find out exactly what the MC ID is for your particular broker if you go into their help page or FYI or whatever like that. So just to recap, players in the marketplace, we have 3 different players that we need to be aware of. The market maker, the most well-known, the ECNs, the electronic communications networks, and the wholesalers, the order flow firms, okay? So those are the 3 players we want to talk the most about. Let's go to the next one. The most important market maker. Let's talk a little bit about that. The most important market maker is called the AX, AX for short. They control the price of they control the price action in a given stock. Oftentimes, you can determine which market maker is the AX by watching the level 2 action for a few days. It's the market maker who consistently dominates the price action. So what am I saying by that? Let's just look at ARM here for a second. It's not really the best example at the moment, but let's just pretend we see something that we don't. Let's say, for example, the NYB, the New York book. There is huge size consistently on the New York book, on the bid and the ask on ARM. And this is not just a one-off incident where there just happens to be big size that gets eaten up or blown through at any one moment in time. It's something that's habitually happening. It's habitual line stepping, as Charlie Murphy likes to say, right? What we're looking for here is a market maker who has more skin in the game at any one point than any other market maker. And the way to determine that is to be consistently looking at the book. That's why Obi used to record all his entire day. He wanted to go back and watch the level 2 to see which market maker had the most influence. I'm telling you, they're killing it over there.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Who is that on the 1s and 2s? It's the Chilean Nightmare, baby. So that's what we're talking about there, okay? determining who the axe is, the most important market maker for a particular instrument. It's not as easy as just loading up the stock and seeing what's on the level 2 at any one given time. No, it requires you to watch it for a while to see who's dictating the price action on both the bid and the ask. And oftentimes you're able to determine that just based upon which one has the most size consistently throughout the day. A lot easier said than done, okay? Let's go on to the next topic. Why use level 2? Now, look, let me tell you. If you're day trading, you have to have the level 2 up. Look, you can say, look, I'm a chart trader. I go based on chart patterns and support and resistance. I couldn't care less about level 2. And I would say to you, look, if you can make it work for yourself, bravo. But if you can't, if you haven't been successful, you need to incorporate this other tool that we call market depth. Level 2 codes can tell you a lot about what's happening within a given stock. Number one, you can tell what kind of buying is taking place. Is it retail or is it institutional? By looking at the type of market participants that are involved. Large institutions don't use the same market makers as retail traders. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, okay? Number two, you can tell when institutional players are trying to keep the buying quiet if you look at the ECN order sizes for irregularities. These can mean that a buyout or accumulation is taking place. A lot of times, these larger institutions don't want to tip their hand. They don't want to have a 500,000 share order sitting at a particular level. So I'll talk about this in a second. So they'll put smaller share orders that keep reappearing either at the same price or just a little bit above or a little bit below. You can tell they're trying to offload their position, but they don't want to be so obvious about it. So you're not going to, I shouldn't say you're not. You're unlikely to see their full order at any one level. You're going to have to actually, be watching the tape. That's why we call it tape reading. Sitting there looking to see, is the order refreshing every time we move up? Is there a new seller with similar size coming in? Conversely, to the bottom side, is there a new buyer coming in with similar size at different levels? So that's one thing we'll talk about in a second. Number three, you can greatly increase your odds of a successful trade by trading with the axe when the price is trending. The axe provides liquidity, but its traders are out there to make a profit just like everyone else. Number four, you can tell when a strong trend is about to come to an end by looking for trades that take place between the bid and the ask. Otherwise, we know this is a midpoint, okay? These trades are often placed by large traders who take a small loss to make sure that they get out of the stock in time. What's going on, Katina Man? The market is hitting low, so the Katina Man is watching that. Anything you want to add? NVIDIA is near that bottom again, so make sure if you are in the short or in the long, you're... He's only almost $10 in the money on Coinbase. Yeah, I mean, that's not that big of a deal, of course, right? I'm kidding, tongue-in-cheek, of course. So shout out to the Katina Man. Make sure you are watching these markets as we continue to head down. I know we're doing our lesson now, but we got to get this done, right? These trades are often placed by large traders who take a small loss to make sure that they can get out of the stock in time, all right? So that's 4 main reasons. I'm sure there's plenty more of why you should be using level 2. Let's go on to the last one, then we'll take some questions, Adara. This is the one that I want to keep focus on the most. Tricks and deception. Because oftentimes what we hear is retail traders are suckers. They are there for institutional traders to take their money. And that's why we hear about, the 90% losers for day traders, this, that, and the other. So we need to be aware of when we're getting taken. And one of the ways is obviously to know what the common tricks and deceptions are out there. Watching level 2 can tell you a lot about what's happening, but there's also a lot of deception. There are a few, these are a few, the coming up, are the most common tricks played by market makers. The first one, hiding order size. Okay? The first trick in deception, hiding order size. Market makers can hide their order sizes by placing small orders and updating them whenever they get a fill. Placing small orders and then updating, refreshing them whenever that order is filled. They do this to unload or pick up a large order, I should say, without tipping off other traders and scaring them away. Nobody's going to attempt to push through 500,000 share resistance, but traders may still think it's a beatable barrier if it's a persistent 10,000 share resistance. So, case in point, if I'm on the bid on ARM, and I look at the ask, and I see there's a monster 500,000 share order sitting at $70. Well, I'm not going to be so inclined to want to take the long at 69.80 over here to make a new high, right? Because I know that there's a monster waiting for me at $70. So they don't want to tip their hands so easily. So what they'll do is they'll put a 10,000 share order, and that may not dissuade me nearly as much as that 500,000 share order. But when we get up to $70, all of a sudden that 10,000 gets eaten through, and then it reappears again. Sorry, Adara.
It's okay.
Adara scares easily for anybody wondering why I'm saying sorry. Pardon me. So essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to bait you into thinking that the order that they have sitting there on the book is far smaller than the one in actuality, so that you go ahead and you hit the bid so that they can take your money, okay? So that's the first one. What is this one called? Hiding order size. Second one, order sizes and timing. What is this all about? Market makers occasionally try to deceive other traders using their order sizes and timing. For example, JPMS, one of the ECNs we'll talk about in a second, JP Morgan's ECN, okay? JPMS may place a large offer to get short sellers on board only to pull their order and place a large bid. This will force new shorts to cover as day traders react to the large bid. So this technically is not very legal. It's called order stuffing, and you're not supposed to place an order in the market unless you have 100% intention of having it filled. But that's not reality. The reality is we're going to get bamboozled a lot of the time. And so sometimes what happens is a person with big buying power will place an order, whether a bid or an ask, at a particular level, only to entice you to get into the trade. But when it comes to that price, all of a sudden the order's not there anymore. It's getting pulled. Again, it's one of those gray areas in the market. It's technically not legal, but is it done, and is it done often? I'll let you be the decider of that. Third, and finally here in the bamboozling category, tricks and deception, trading through ECNs, okay? Market makers can also hide their actions by trading through ECNs because ECNs can be used by anybody. We talked about retail traders having access to it as well as institutional. It is often difficult to tell whether large ECN orders are retail or institutional, and it's because the institutions have a habit of layering their orders. So they're not going to put everything in all at one level. So you're not really sure, is this, 10 different orders from 10 different retail traders or, medium-sized traders, or is this one order from one huge institutional traders layered over, let's say, $1, right? Between 70 to 71 on ARM. Let's just give you a random example there. So it's oftentimes hard to figure out exactly when institutions are doing the buying or the selling, or whether it's retail, simply because institutional traders really are adept at hiding their hand. So that is just some of the basics today, Adara. Wow, that took me 20 minutes to yap through. But yeah, any questions on your part before we go into the chat?
Yeah, I guess so. The longer that you look at level 2 for, and when I say you, I mean like as a general, traders, are there ways to kind of, attempt to circumvent stuff once you kind of notice it happening? And I guess, I'm trying to find a word this.
Well, give me a scenario.
Okay.
Give me a scenario and then we can talk about that.
If you see, I'm just trying to make sure I understand everything properly before I kind of get into this.
Sure.
If you see, someone trying to hide order size, and you want, is there a way to take advantage of that move, for example, or something
Someone's
like that?
trying to hide their order?
Yeah, if they're trying to hide order size and you want to kind of get involved in maybe
well, if you are good enough, if you are able to actually look at the level 2 and to be like, hey, there is clearly an institution selling here, if you're good at that, and you pick up on the fact that it's an institution behind these orders, you can go in the direction of the institution. Right?
Okay.
So all of a sudden you were like, okay, well, I'm going to go long ARM. But then a huge market maker's layering shorts, sell orders on ARM between 70 to 71. We get up to 70. It breaks through 70 for a second, goes up to $70.15, then tanks. Like 20, and that's what we call a specialist breakout.
Okay.
A specialist breakout is essentially to lure you in. to make you think that we've broken through the level only to wait for the level to break and then get you on the way down to take all your money.
Okay.
Google it, specialist breakout.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Right
there's all sorts of bamboozling stuff. So if you can actually ID the direction of the institution or the larger trader or whatever you want to call it, the market maker, whoever's doing all the buying or selling, if you're able to detect that, number one, good on you because you're really good, right? Number two, go with the direction of the institution. Why fight them? They're the big money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know, and I think I appreciate you for saying that too, because I think like part of why I was thinking, you know, fight, because I know, you know, like there's lots of talk about market makers and stuff like that. So, but I get it makes sense to kind of try to use that to your advantage if you can. But I'm also assuming that that takes like a lot of years and time in the market. Okay.
Yeah. And they've become much more adept at hiding their true intentions because people have become better at tape reading and wise over the years, right? And obviously, not even going to get into this. AI is probably going to find its way into this some way, somehow.
That'd be crazy, yeah.
And make everything exponentially harder, sadly. But that's just the world we live in. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
They probably already have, says the Chilean nightmare in my ear. So, and I don't disagree with that at all. It's probably just going to get worse, quite frankly. All right, guys, throw your questions in the chat. If you have any questions for Adaira and I, we will be going through this again once on the top of the hour as people come in. That, you know, we got to assume people are joining and leaving at any one time, so we do have to repeat this. But thank you guys for joining us today. Fonzie says Ram, and then heart emoji eyes. There you got some love there in the chat, Ram. So you can stop going on those day dates and maybe take out Ponzi over here. I'm just kidding.
There's a question here from Jorge Garcia. What level 2s you have to sign up for? Would this be the top of book of full depth?
That's a very great question, and it's really going to come into. It's really going to depend on your broker. I'll tell you about mine. Well, I'll tell you first about the floor. Number one, when you come on the floor here as a trainee, they don't give you the full picture because, well, you haven't earned it yet. You got to show that, number one, you're a good trader and you're worth them paying the money for you, because they got to pay money for this stuff, right? All the data that the traders back here are getting, the firm's paying for, right? So the better you are, the more data permissions you're going to have. That's over here. And it's also going to really depend on what markets you trade. So you're not really going to want futures data if you never touch a futures. Maybe just to kind of see where the market is. Maybe I shouldn't have used the futures as an example because it's so, you know, it's kind of indicative of the entire market. But the point is, you have to pay per book. Now, on IBKR, I can just tell you with Interactive Brokers, there is like one that's called NASDAQ depth of book or something like that. That gives you the major picture total view. Thank you, Katina Man. Yeah, it's called NASDAQ Total View. You know, that gives you a lot of the NASDAQ names and gives you a good picture, but it's not everything. BATS you're going to have to pay extra for. ARCA, Edge A, Edge X, all these ones you're going to have to pay extra for if you want to see the entire market depth. And you're not going to have a full picture of the market unless you have all of them. You may have an almost complete picture, let's say 95, 85%, whatever, but you're not going to have the full picture unless you have access to all the gateways, and each gateway will probably cost you more. Now, there are some brokers that will package a lot of gateways together, and they'll be like, okay, look, for $5 a month or $10 a month, I'll give you A, B, C, and D, and then you can add on E, F, and G for another $10. Some other brokers, they'll say to you, okay, look, you spend $20 in commissions with me a month, and I'll waive your data fees for, let's say, this gateway or that gateway. So you really need to do your homework with your specific broker to find out, number one, what they offer in terms of market depth. They don't all offer the same thing. Number two, how much it's going to cost you. And number three, whether you can get a lot of that written off by doing your active trading, by actually accumulating commissions on a monthly basis, foregoing the fee entirely.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I have another question too, actually, that kind of spun off from that. So I guess because like the orders that we see, the books move differently. Would market makers behave differently, or can you spot them differently depending on what asset they're trading as well. Do you know what I don't know if that makes sense.
No, give me a bit more.
Okay, so
Throw some
so
more
I guess
color on that.
would you notice the market maker more if there's an asset that has a little bit less liquidity? I'm guessing.
I see.
Or would they just not be involved?
I see what you're saying.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
but
it does make sense. It makes absolute sense. So you're saying on something like, let's say, I don't know, what's done nothing today? SGMT, small cap gapper, up 35%, only done 275,000 shares. Can I spot it because there's less activity?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I would think that maybe it's a little bit easier to spot because the tape is not going to be moving as aggressively.
Okay.
So I'll be able to look at a level without it disappearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's
is
a huge issue with like these ones that move like Tesla and Nvidia.
Exactly, right? So I would say the lower the volume, obviously a little bit easier to read the level 2. However, the other side of that coin is less liquidity equals more risk.
That's true, yeah.
Because number one, typically the spread's going to be a bit wider on less liquid names. Number two, if it drops and there's no buyers and I'm in a long, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, because we were talking about that yesterday too, so I appreciate you like contextualizing that for me. Thank you with regards to that.
All right, I see Hog Rider saying NVIDIA is flying. Well, it just got off that 535 and now it's back up into 540. So yeah, you're not wrong on that. A nice $4.40 move off the bottom there. NVDA down 0.2% on the day. We haven't really looked at anything market related yet. Yeah, any questions, guys, throw them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer. Big Kyle Burdett, my man, welcome back. Just getting here. Being too busy slaughtering this market. Dump it. Yes, I know you're a bear, a perma bear. Although I do know one of your New Year's resolutions is to go both ways. So let's see if you can take the market long like yesterday, right? Pretty big day. Green day on the market. All right, let's bring in the trusty 8 over here and talk about some of these levels. All right, so worst Meg 7 name on the day, the cake, the prize, the title goes to TSLA, down big, 3 1/3. We're knocking on the door of that 225 level, Adara. It has not been a good look for Tesla today, even though yesterday was a bit stagnant. We were kind of sideways on TSLA. We were below the pivot point yesterday. We started at the pivot point, but we continue to kind of dance with break even at that 234 level. I got to tell you, I don't think today's CPI really helped Tesla any. And Brendo and I were talking about that on the big desk, especially as CPI comes in stronger, the market starts forecasting delay in rate cuts. We know for a fact that higher interest rates have hurt leasing and financing of these Teslas. Elon Musk made that very clear on his last earnings call, as you know, people don't want to finance at 8%. Right? You know, I don't know what car dealers are offering these days. I see varying amounts. I see from 3% up to 8%. If you get a really high in demand car, Mercedes-Benz, you're going to pay 8.25, at least in this country. If you get one of the cars that isn't moving, you might get a 3 or 4% level. And so it looks as if interest rates or continued inflation worries will continue to hinder Tesla, at least for the time being. So anyway, Tesla the worst off here. Second amongst it is Meta, after having a monster day yesterday. META kind of giving.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look at that. This was yesterday's move. So we started off our life yesterday on Meta at $357. That was the close from the prior day. We made it all the way up to that 372, almost 373 yesterday a day. We were awfully close to $373, and now we are back kind of halfway at $363. I don't want to say halfway, but we're definitely below the pivot point. Keep your eye on this red dotted line that is at 361 level. That is the first support level using pivots on META. And then who's number 3 in terms of the worst here? It goes to Apple. Yay! More gains wiped off. Yeah, Apple continuing to struggle here, trying to hold 184 Adara, but all I see is lower highs. The only thing that kind of is giving me a possible, bullish look here is this double bottom at 183 and let's say 80s. If we can break through and above VWAP here at 185, we might have something, but I don't know. That may be more wishful thinking than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think Apple certainly there's gotten a bite taken out of it recently. Let me tell you, we had another downgrade yesterday from Redbird Atlantic. So Apple having struggle. Tesla also, yeah, Tesla kind of trying to get its life back together here at this 226. I had fun shorting this name just a skosh earlier. Took my first point of entry at this 227.10, was planning to take it to this 226.50 area. Then when I saw, we're still kind of dying here, I actually DCA'd, which I don't normally do, but I was looking at the book. I like the 226.20 area, took some extra shares, still really tiny position overall, and then we sunk, and I was very happy indeed. I was pleased as punch, I have to say, with this Tesla short. I'm willing to take Tesla in either direction, though, depending on what we see at this 226, tending to lean short, though, and then just kind of range scalp this. I talk about this enough, so we know my whole strategy is like wherever we had the most recent bottom, I take out profits there if it's a long most recent top. So yeah, buying dips or shorting rips is going to be relative rips.
I love that.
Thank you. Is going to be kind of my take today, I think, with this being what it is. Also, question here, or I guess comment here from Y Brothers United. I have a particular fondness for level 2 and TPO, as they're my favorite subjects. This is the information I inquired about. Thank you. I'm eagerly anticipating the TPO session.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, we can. To see what's going on. Yeah, TPO. Yeah. That's time, price, offer, opportunity, TPO, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, right now, yeah, we're talking about level 2, but yeah, we're always looking for new topics and stuff. So much in the market to talk about always.
So many things to talk about,
yeah,
Dara.
Thank you very much for that.
I just wanted to address one comment here. Very interesting, because this is something that's been misreported in the media so many times, and I feel like I am compelled to address it again. Hedged Hog, I love that name, by the way,
yes.
Hedged Hog, fantastic name, says, look, BYD sells more EVs than Tesla. That's what the media would have you think. No, that is incorrect. They sell more new energy vehicles than Tesla. Under the umbrella of new energy vehicles includes hybrids, not just battery-powered cars. So BYD is selling around 3 million cars total. 1.6 million of those 3 sold in 2023 were pure electric vehicles, no hybrid system, no ICE engine, nothing in it, okay? However, Tesla sold, guys, what's going on? 1.82 million actual EVs. So there's about 200,000, 220,000 more Tesla EVs produced in 2023 than there were BYD produced EVs. Now, the variance obviously is the hybrid. Now, the BYD's hybrid, I need to point this out, is not the same as Li Auto's hybrid. In fact, they don't even call Li Auto's car hybrids. They call them extended range vehicles. The reason being is there's an onboard, what do they call that? Generator. Yeah, a generator which then recharges the battery for the electric engine. It doesn't actually have an internal combustion engine on there being fed by gas. So you have to make sure that you understand, number one, the difference between the types of hybrid systems, and number two, you have to understand when the media reports new energy vehicles, they are including hybrids, which are way easier to make than the electric vehicles, okay? So their new energy vehicles are not just EV, pure battery plays, they are everything. So the media has been very, very fuzzy about that, and something tells me it probably has something to do with their dislike or their disdain for Elon Musk.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's certainly an interesting concept. Fabian was asking if that includes scooters too when you were saying the BYD numbers.
Say that again.
Fabian was asking if that includes scooters for the BYD numbers.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question, Fabian. I know that it's really hybrids and EVs. Really, that was the main difference. I don't know about the scooters.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly an interesting one. We do have a super chat addressing you, but first I just want to look at Mara quickly, because lots of people getting up, understandably what is happening with Mara. Running the marathon to the downside decisively. You're down 15% on Mara. No sign of stopping. We kind of had this nice little support at this 26 area, 2670, swooping to the upside. Getting this wick above 29 and then falling with a vengeance right below our support area of 2670. We're now hanging out around 21, just below 22, I guess. Let me look at the daily here on Mara. Oh yeah, okay, this is yeah, we consolidated for a while here around this 23 to 2650 area, very far below that range now. Let me tell you, yeah, we're kind of back to the areas we were in when we had this nice little roundy face to the upside earlier. So it's a little hard to say where we could free fall to from here. I think this gap up around 2050 could be interesting. I would maybe keep an eye on that level. Yeah, people mentioning Ride as well. All these crypto stocks certainly having lots of insanity here. Also, Broad Street Wolf was the super chat asking you specifically here. Thank you so much to the chat here from Broad Street Wolf. Sharif, my QQQ calls up 80%. Close or hold and wait for more dip. Expires January 2nd and 16th.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not really sure about the market long today. Look, I'm not going to comment on your swing, but I'm just going to have a look here at the futures as we dance below 16.8. So we're kind of doing that dance at the 100-point level, which I think is interesting because we're kind of hovering at it from the low side. So this is not one of those ones where I'm going to say we're doing the wick dance for a possible hold, right? The fact of the matter is we're doing the wick dance from the south side, not the north side, right? And so, and no trend has changed here. You can expand this for you. Lower highs, lower lows. It is a downward channel. There has not been a new higher high or a new higher low essentially all day, right? So I'm not inclined at all to punch anything long on this market unless something fundamentally changes. I'd say first and foremost, we'd have to break through this key resistance level over here, which is that 16.8 1/3. We break above that and we start printing anywhere around here, then we can start talking. VWAP is also at, right now, it's at 16.920, but who knows where it'll be if we get up to it. I don't like anything long on the futures at this level, not yet. Let's see, number one, if we can get above and hold above 16.8, and if we can get above this, this local resistance level, let's call it, at 16.8 1/3. We'll have to wait and see about that. But the future is awfully weak today, off the back of that CPI number, coming in hotter than expected. And I was kind of confused by this number, I gotta tell you the truth, when we initially got it, because it was one of those ones where it's like, what the hell is keeping inflation high? We know for a fact energy's been down the last little while. So, and then food was supposed to be kind of stabilizing. So those are the only two things that are included in headline that are not included in core, right? So core came in line. It was a headline that was higher. So what the hell was higher? Food?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know, man.
Yahoo Finance was reporting that shelter inflation was higher, but shelter factors as part of core. And core came in line. So I don't really understand what's going on. I'll have to dig deeper once have more opportunity to read about it. But yeah, not a good look, at least for like the local trade.
Oh yeah, no, it's certainly USD got a nice little push to the upside. Talked about that a little bit during money talks, and tomorrow we have PPI, so we're gonna have to see how that shakes out. We also have bank earnings coming tomorrow, so I'm not really sure. We'll have to see if that does impact the, like USD and everything, but I think bank earnings either way could have an interesting little effect on the market. BlackRock reporting tomorrow, I know for sure. So let me get the whole list of these reporting earnings at these banks tomorrow because I want to make sure I get the whole fun list here for the bank earnings. So tomorrow morning we get JPM. We also get Delta Airlines, not a bank, but still reporting earnings. United Health Group, also not a bank, but Bank of America, BlackRock, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of New York Mellon. So yeah, those lots of earnings I think tomorrow to talk about. We'll have to see how those shake up the market, especially with these these bank heavy hitters reporting. And also I think Delta will be interesting with regards to this overall airline kerfuffle after Boeing and its constantly being updated planes situation with that fuselage.
What a disaster that company is.
That was a very scary time with that door being blown out mid-air.
You want to cheer for this company. You want to root for them.
We were talking about how good Boeing's daily chart looked like last week.
Every time you root for them, they make you regret doing that.
Okay, housekeeping stuff. Let's talk about this right now. We got Barkin. He's going to be on at 12:40. Fed chair, one of the Fed presidents, Barkin, will be speaking at 12:40. 20 minutes after that, we're getting a big boy auction. The 30-year bond auction comes in at 1 o'clock. That could change things. You guys know what these auctions the 5, the 10, the 20, the 30 have been doing to the markets lately, especially on the midday when they come out at 1 o'clock. So make sure in an hour and 20 minutes, you know what your trades are, you know exactly where you are and you're ready, or you have your stops in place, or your profit takers, because you know if you're long we pump, who knows. Previous print on the 30-year bond auction came in at 4.344. We don't have a consensus, well, at least on my app here, I don't have a consensus print. We'll have to wait to see what the actual is, obviously. Waiting for that to come out. Looking down here, we don't get anything until 4:30 after that. Actually, sorry, 2 o'clock. The federal budget balance, which we don't really cover too often here on this show, Adara. So we have FOMC member Barkin speaking 12:40. Then the 30-year auction at 1 o'clock. So make sure you are ready for that particular trade. All right, Nimit, you want to talk about Roma. So let's talk about Roma over here. Look, it's doing a nice little move, but it's given up the ghost now, and it is south of VWAP, which on my chart is $5.60. If you've been watching the show and you see me trade small cap cappers, you know that I don't like taking them long when they are south of VWAP. So this one, you know, seemed to find a bit of support at $5. I'm not going to participate at this level. Ideally, I would have liked to hold yesterday's high, and that's what we initially did. When we had that break of VWAP right here at around 11 o'clock, we came into yesterday's closing print high, and then we popped back up, but then we flat bottom broke through that 5 1/3, and now we broke actually through $5, coming down to 483, but now doing the dance here with the $5 area. I'm not taking this long. If anything, you know, I'm looking for a continued move down, but I'm not going to participate in either way. Did this have a pre-market high that we could have taken? No. So this one, it's a continuation play from yesterday. So there was no pre-market high kind of technique that I've been talking about, waiting for the pre-market high to form as the small cap gapper often runs in the pre-market, and then waiting for that level to get long. That's not that's not the move today, at least. So ROMA, I'm gonna steer clear of this one for now. Let's see what other small cap gappers are on the move. LAES, this one showing up here, doing well on the day. It's up over 33%, having done almost 34 million shares of volume, about 1.25 million shares done in the past 5 minutes. It's at a critical level here. So it's off its highs, off that $3 reject, double top here at $2.98, so almost at $3. But here we are at the white line, VWAP. This $2.57 area. Do we break VWAP? We haven't broken VWAP since the morning. So here's the opening bell, and every dip into VWAP on LAES thus far has been bought up. Is this area here going to be the exception? So we're going to have to wait and see whether or not we get that decided break. But as my friend Neil likes to say, I wouldn't be buying on this VWAP. I would wait for the back end, wait for it to curl, show you, okay, this is a key support level, and the buyers start overwhelming sellers incrementally. You get higher lows and some green candles there, and then maybe we'll be interested in this. But it is above VWAP at the moment, but let's wait for it to prove itself that it's going to hold up at these levels. LAES, another one showing up on my list. And then the other one here, MLEC. This one not doing nearly as much volume, Adara. MLEC, where the hell does this one go?
There's been weird volume, some of these little baby cappers today.
I'm trying to find the volume on this one, but it's disappeared off my list, off my scanner. So probably the volume a little suspect. But God, like, I mean, look at this. This is a specialist breakout I've ever seen one. Breaks through 270 into 311, and then immediately rejects off that. Now, keep in mind that the pre-market high is that $3.50 area. So as per my rules, I would not have taken a long on this bad boy until we can get above $3.50 on MLEC. That high was made around 5:35 this morning. Yeah, and we haven't been putting any higher highs since that time. You really need to break through 3 1/4, which was a bit of a top. That's the institutional print there at 8 o'clock, preceded by some 7 a.m. action over here at 3 1/4, but the pre-market high 350.
Yeah, no, thank you for going over that. Also, there's a super chat from Diamond Realty of Miami, $3.05 super chat. It's a little bit higher. I can let you read that. It's addressed to you if you want to read that one out loud there.
I don't even see it.
Here we go.
Here we go. Welcome back, Sharif. BYD, new EV king. Look, bro, you don't gotta convince me on the the I don't know, the strength or the legitimacy of BYD, ask the Katina man, ask the Neil. I've been talking well about BYD for a while. It is a good company. I just wanted to point out the difference there between hybrid vehicles and fully electric vehicles, because they're not the same and they're not as easy to produce. Now, some other guy in the chat, I don't remember his name, was like Sharif's Elon fanboy, this, that, and the other stuff that, you know, doesn't really faze me. The point is, to that individual telling me that they only sell in one country, BYD sells in one country, bruh, do your homework before you start spitting in the chat, because that's absolutely incorrect, okay? BYD sells in many countries, all right? Thank you, Katina man. But that's neither here nor there. But look, Diamond Realty, man, I got to tell you, BYD, it's a good company. When Alfred was at the big desk, we talked about that. It's got two different North American tickers, BYDDY and BYDDF. Jeff Mendel, when he was on the big desk as well, kind of differentiated the two for us. One strictly is you know, an ADR where you have where you don't have direct actually ownership. It's through the depository receipt, and the other one is actually in the funds. So make sure you know the difference between those two before you invest. So I think it's a fantastic company, and clearly, you know, Elon was wrong when he made fun of them, because he was asked about BYD's car, I think like in 2016 or something like that. He's like, have you seen their car? And now, you know, he's not joking about them no more, is he? But the fact of the matter is, you know, whether or not you like them, we just got to say the truth, the facts. They haven't made more EVs per year than Tesla, not yet. Maybe they will this year. Yeah. What do you got over there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I will confer as well that Sharif does speak positively about BYD. It is just specifically that's the Sharif's big thing is the EV hybrid distinction, because we were talking about that as well, because I didn't really understand it fully. Also, I just got in and out of the little baby Tesla long, so I can talk about that.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I said, I was open to trading Tesla in either direction, whatever direction was kind of giving me interest for these tiny, teeny, tiny baby scalp plays with small share sizes. We did our DCA thing 21 earlier today with that short. Then I noticed I really like, because I got out originally of that short of that 226.50 area, because that was an area of interest to me, because we had this double bottom here, and I noticed like, hey, we're holding it up pretty well. Then I noticed we keep kind of spiking up to this 226.50 and then falling down a bit. So I say, like, I just kind of was sitting here trying to be very patient. Patient is a virtue, so they say. So I'm trying to be a little bit more of a careful trader here as I still learn in the sim and hopefully grow. But yeah, so this 226.50, we got it, and this time we actually held it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a teeny tiny baby long here. So I noticed that we were able to hit 226.75 and then kind of run away scared, like a little scared deer. So I got in, set it to leave at 226.75. We got out 25 cents. Oh, I like that. So 25 cents. So it's definitely not super significant here, and again, still in the sim. But yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is, I was talking about this with the OB yesterday as well. Just kind of like, you know, you have to figure out what style works for you and just try to hone that. I do feel I'm most comfortable while trading if I'm just in these teeny tiny scalps, just watching the book, seeing what levels are holding, watching the chart, and then kind of using that to come together to find where we have some compatibility here and entering that way. So I just wanted to talk through that Tesla trade. I'm willing to go in either direction on this stock as the day continues, just for teeny tiny scalp moves. Also, yeah, I'm enjoying Jaden's comment here in the chat. Yeah, Tesla, the little EV drove itself off a little bit of a cliff here. We did have some catalysts with Tesla, including the UAW, I guess Tesla feeling that UAW heat and increasing the pay for some of its factory workers in the US. So just a little catalyst note there from Tesla. I think that is an interesting note here. But yeah, I think this is, yeah, really, really cool look here in Tesla. I like this comment from the Salty Bear, and I also really like your name. Although I guess you couldn't be too much of a salty bear today. It's been kind of a good bearish day. But the market could decide it's overreacted and bounce to wait for earnings and more inflation data tomorrow. Likely sideways or slow downside as we wait for data. Could shift sentiment, be looking both ways. Yeah, like I said today, right? Like or just now with Tesla, I think I like this. This is kind of fun with the little picture there. But yeah, I think what I'm trying to make is, I think it's really, there are probably opportunities both ways. We'll have to see how the market reacts. But like I said, I think those bank earnings plus UNH and Delta could have an interesting role in the market. I think being aware and being kind of careful is, I think, an interesting way to go. there. Also, Meta getting a little bounce back, question mark, on my side chart. Yeah, oh, okay. This is even, I have the 3-minute on my side chart, as I mentioned, but I like trading on the 5-minute. And this 5-minute, this is even a steeper curve here. We'll have to see, because it's where we kind of consolidated and then fell. So I want to watch what we're doing at this 365, 10, 20 area for my point of entry, much like we did with Tesla, watching levels, watching the book, seeing where we have an opportunity, and then just kind of getting in and out like a little ninja, trying to escape the trades. Which is funny, because a lot of what we're talking about today is how these market makers will try to, finagle their way into trades, and kind of how that works, right? So, we'll do some finagling of our own, as we do here in the markets, just trying to see opportunities and get it cracking. So that's my take, really just kind of going in either direction here on Tesla. As 50 Cent said, switch the style up, and if they hate, then let them hate, and watch the money pile up. We'll see. I mean, well, the sim money, the paper money, but
I love it.
But yeah, just kind of try to continue scalping and seeing how that goes.
That's hilarious.
How are you? What are you looking at?
I'm just keeping my eye here on the future, because we just got to 16.8 again, but we're doing that kind of sub-level dance. We could call it the wick dance. You call it whatever you want. Big green candle here on the dip, and then a nice move back up above 16.8. Let's see if we can kind of get above like this level I talked about earlier. This red dotted line, which is support level 1 on pivot points, also happens to be, confluencing with price action over here on the bottom, 16.8 1/3. Let's see if we can get a big move up off there. Otherwise, I'm not going to be interested in any sort of longs on any big tech names. But we can also keep an eye, I would say, on the small caps. These small cap gappers, I was just talking about LAES and how it kind of is flirting with VWAP right now. So this might be an interesting entry on LAES, because we just bottomed out at $2.50. Now we're back up to 259, 260 area. If we do hold VWAP here, I would definitely be interested in to move into 3 or at least 298 high a day. Let's load up LAES here on the trading screen. Let's take off ARM.
So I'm just going to say this quickly. I'm going to pull this up
it.
to confirm this, but someone is saying in the chat, Fed speaker saying no rate cut in March. So let me check my.
Oh, we're talking about Barkin. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is
Is it Barkin?
It's Mester first and then Barkin. The Fed's Mester saying that today's inflation data does not change my view of where Fed is. December shows this job isn't done yet.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Redhead Loretta, baby. She's on there. She's talking up a storm. Fed Messer says we don't want to see progress in inflation stall out. This report does not suggest that though. On inflation, we need to see housing and goods price pressure continue to move down. Yeah, housing's the issue here. It's shelter, I think. My contacts tell me labor market not as tight as before. I guess maybe today that's kind of bewildering, because while that really wasn't what the jobs numbers showed, as continuing claims were down. But anyway, yeah, Fed Mester is speaking right now. I didn't actually see Fed Mester in my thing here, Adara. So boo on you, investing.com. You didn't show me that.
They didn't give her any bulls.
It didn't even include her in the list. So yeah, she got cut. Redhead Loretta got cut off the thing over here.
Loretta.
Yeah, Loretta Mester. Yep. Anyway, we're just kidding, of course.
Ramin got that.
Loretta. Okay. I see where you're going with that. All right, I'm keeping my eye here on LAES. I'm going to go long at $2.63. I'm going to put it on order here, so I'll send it to you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, the LAES has been really kind of strong and interesting all day. So I noticed that one earlier. Also noticed Tesla once again having this level where we keep kind of bouncing around here. We failed that 227 yet again. Tried to get an entry here. Probably set my point of entry a little bit too high. If we come back to 227 and fail again, I'll probably get in again. But like I said, the range that I am watching on Tesla almost exclusively, at least for now until we move into a new range, is 226.50 to 227.20. The very specific 70-cent range that I'm going to be keeping my little eyes on all day. Also, I just got a kick here out of Mac in the chat. The finagling scared ninja deer. Yeah, that's the kind of trader where I'm gonna, we're not gonna try to be scared, but you gotta, you gotta try to be that type of trader.
Did you see Long Greta?
Oh, I did not see that.
Well, yeah, there you go. Hans Beer is killing it in there.
Killing it in the chat. Yeah, well, the market is a little bit red for Loretta, so that one wasn't as strong. But a lot of people talking about HUT, so I'm gonna pull up HUT. I mean, a lot of people talking about all the crypto names, but I'm seeing HUT a lot recently. So let's see HUT too if we're setting to attention here.
I'm not going to do it.
Pardon?
You're not going to do it. Feeling hot, hot.
Oh, I should have done. Oh my
Come
God,
on,
I didn't even think of
Adira.
that one. Thank you. feeling hot, hot, hot. I don't think the market's feeling hot, hot, hot though.
Fabian, bro.
What did
You're
he
killing
say?
it. He was doing the boo. I cut him off by hitting the bang.
Thank you.
I didn't actually mean to. That was funny, Fabian.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, no, I mean the market is not feeling hot, hot, hot today. We really fell here, making lower lows. I do find this consolidation at 1120 a skosh interesting. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. I do not know if I'm going to I don't think this is one that I would really trade right now. But I think this is kind of an interesting look. Also, Sunil asking if my eyes are blue and green. I would say they're blue.
They're blue.
Yeah, I think they're blue.
I can see them right here. They're
yeah, sure, just like can confirm. But yeah, no, sorry, I just saw that and I was like, may as well answer that question. But yeah, hot is, thank you for bringing up that pun there. I appreciate that.
I like Roland Joe. Sharif, have you been trying to recover from sickness or Arsenal's beating? I love it. I'm like both, bro. Because, well, if you've been watching this weekend, Arsenal did get eliminated by Neil's boys out of the FA Cup. Liverpool beating Arsenal 2-0 on our ground, which was, very disappointing to say. But that's the way it is. That's the way soccer is there. Guys, we are now in a long on LAES as it does hold VWAP there, and it did trigger my order at 63. So let's see if we can move up past that, let's say, 70 area. We did have some resistance at that 10 penny area. We had a bit of a bottom. You call that a trough, whatever, at that area. The out here is a very, very tight stop through the break of 250. I will not allow this to go any lower than 250. If it's a failed break, it's a failed break, and we'll take the L. But I'm going long here on LAES. Small cap gapper du jour up 36%, having done Adira 36.1 million shares on the day. I am looking for a decided break through that 270 before we wet our beak, and we're going to have a little bit of a beak wetter here at the 74 area, just a smidge below that $0.75. Let's see if we make it up there on LAES.
I have to say, I like that level here. I like the, sorry, I'm just
go for it.
So I like this level, this, what is this, 250. Yeah, I like that we kind of had consolidation there, then we came back to that and bounced off.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a really nice look on LAES.
Yeah, and it was the whole dollar, too. Did you notice that? Sorry, the $0.50. Go back, baby. Thank you. Look, that's a 50 penny area.
Oh.
So it was consolidation low earlier at the 50 penny, and then support again at the 50 penny. But that doesn't mean nothing because we're putting in lower highs. High, lower high, lower high. So we need to change this trend. Otherwise, it means nothing to me.
So it's a little compressy, I guess, is a way to put it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not really compressy. It's just, it's downward channel-y.
I guess, yeah. I'm trying to find a way to word it, yeah.
Right? Let's get to some tags here. In about 3 minutes, we're going to restart the lesson again. Thomas Johnson, hunt for low-red October. Oh, bro, come on. Come on, Adira is giving you a round of applause there. She loves that kind of stuff. And as do I. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. Haters will hate, says B. Davis. Shout out to you, my man.
That was when we were punning really hard.
Yeah, it is. Ponzi, or sorry, not Ponzi. Oh, good thing you have next Monday off, Sharif. Yes, very good point. Very good point. The Hayes Records, Arsenal laughing. Okay, come on, bro.
I saw that.
Come on, bro. You don't have to troll me that hard. Roland Joe, I feel you, man. I'm a gunner, too. Yeah, it's tough to be an Arsenal fan. That's no question about that. Same thing with being a Cowboys fan. It is tough to be a Cowboys fan. All right, Meat on Wheel. I like that name, not Meals on Wheels. Meat on Wheel. Member for 21 months. Well, one suggestion, if showing trades of NNS in midday, taking time, why not Sharif and Adira sacrifice their board to the new development is done? I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
I think they're saying they're saying that Sean and Neil should have their positions here. I guess.
Well, I'm in a position too. Anytime you want to know what the Katina man or what the Neil is trading, just tag me. They're sitting right next to me right now.
Yeah, Neil just put his positions in here. Yeah.
Oh, Neil did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what's going on, Neil. I know what's going on, baby. Neil will be on in around 1 minute or so as he's going to come in, as he typically does, during that 12 o'clock time slot to give us the lesson of the day. And let me tell you, they are very informative. I always love listening what Neil has to say, especially about some of these current positions that we're in. Kyle Burdett, I'm literally doing a dance with no pants over here. If we get another leg down on ES, just make sure not to put any pictures or anything like that, Kyle. But shout out to you. I like how you're using my my line. But yeah, shout out to big Kyle Burdett. Raj, Sharif, can you look at SWVL? Absolutely, sir. Let's pull in the side chart here and start talking some SWVL for you. Daily movers, SWVL. Ooh, look at this big boy moving. Okay, so we have a new, basically a top gapper right here. So this is number 1 on my list. It's still light on shares, guys. It's just getting going. 657,000 shares on SWVL. Small cap gapper. Let's talk a little bit about the details on this one. So with respect to float, what the hell is it doing? There we go. With respect to float on SWVL, 3.6 million shares. So quite small, not micro, but very small. The amount of shares is done in the last 5 minutes, about 120,000. So the volume's starting to pick up a little bit. I don't see any headline for why this is moving. What day is it? The 11th. Okay, so do we have anything yesterday?
How is it already the 11th of January?
I'm looking, all I see is breakout on volume from yesterday, breakout on volume from the day prior. I don't know why this is moving. I don't see a catalyst on this. SVWL, yeah, not one that's recent from this week anyway, but nonetheless, it is moving up. Closed off yesterday at 457 now. The high at day 647 is trading at 630 right now. Let's see if it can continue to get going. It's now up on my side chart, so we're going to keep an eye on this one to see what it does, but still light on volume. Multiple day runner though. I'll show you this one here. Go to the 15. Yeah, so as you can see, it's been trending up quite aggressively. Back on December 29th, the last trading day, we kind of closed out at that $1.50. Now we're at 650. So this one incrementally making its way up. Probably had a catalyst one of these days over here. I'm just not aware of it. But multiple day runner, SWVL, not a bad look. Let me know when you're ready, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, I drew out lines on Lily because I have my Lily levels. I'm going to call them that because we're getting close to a milli, so I'm trying to prepare to trade this name. And you know, we had a part successful trade yesterday at Lily. I say that because I got half out with profit. The other half we unfortunately got a little. I'll use her Sharif as a bamboozled.
Yeah,
for that second half of the Lily trade. But yeah, so we did have a price target increase, I believe, from Morgan Stanley to 763. And look at these levels. I feel like these levels are just really interesting in Lily.
Guys, go to her chart.
We have this base of 628-ish. Then we have a nice little middle level of 632-ish. And why I like this is we bounce off it. Then we kind of we like rise right up into it with a vengeance. Then we come back to it, go down, we bounce back up to 632. 632 and Lily are interesting levels. Levels, of course, can always change. They don't always, you know, stay in confluence, I guess, with what the stock's doing. But I think this is an interesting level for now. My final level is look at this consolidation we had pre-market at this 630, almost 635. Then we kind of swoop down, we go back up to 635, or I guess 634, 635, then go back down, and guess where? We kind of pop back up again from that level. So I have a couple levels of interest here in Lily once we hit that milli, and we're getting pretty darn close.
A milli
for Lily. Yeah. That's excellent. Thank you.
Milli for Lily.
If I can add like rap and Eli Lilly, why not? So did you hear about the 21 Savage movie?
No, what?
I was talking about it a little bit yesterday, actually.
That's fine. I don't want to hear about it.
So it's called American Dream, the 21 Savage story.
I was gonna say something. Can you do for me? Because I thought for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we'll have to see if the movie does it for viewers. But I've already watched the trailer an embarrassing number of times, so I'm very excited. It's just basically a music video.
Yeah, okay.
The plot's just about his life.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it's like one of the kids from Stranger Things plays young 21 Savage, and an adult 21 Savage is being played by Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. So I'm really excited. And yeah, I think I just wanted to talk about that, but yeah, no, I think a milli for Lily will make me very happy indeed. I already have my levels plotted out. We're just gonna jump in that the second we hit that level there here. Jay Haas saying 21 LePage. Thank you. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take it. I quote the man so much. So yeah, Chris J saying with Childish Gambino, which yeah, that is correct there. But yeah, so I think Lily's the main thing I'm looking at NVIDIA getting kind of interesting as well
back
here.
through 540.
Yeah, NVIDIA is, that 542 is, we got a nice bounce. Like, I think 540 is an interesting area there. We'll see what we can bounce off. Tesla's still in the range that I've been watching it in, so I'm just going to keep watching it within said range. We keep hitting that 226, 226.50, then coming back to 227.20, but Neil is ready. So we will pass it on to someone in the chat was saying earlier, real deal Neil, and then we can hear Neil's thoughts here.
I really like that, Adara, the real deal
Someone
Neil.
in the chat said it.
Because it's like Evander.
Actually,
Really?
that's perfect.
It was. I'm assuming it was something. Whatever. Who cares, bro? Hold on. I'm assuming it has something to do with Holyfield, Evander Holyfield. Thank you. The real deal, Evander Holyfield. Yeah. Shout out to Neil. That's great. I like that.
But yeah, Neil time for now.
Why not? Welcome to the Real Deal with Neil. What we're going to talk about today is, you know them, you maybe don't like them, but they're market makers. Market makers, we don't like them. Most people are like, oh no, they take our money. So I want to talk about today, how can you take a little bit of their money, right? Like, as a trader, you're always looking to make that gain from price action, trading key price levels. But what about from the actual quotes, from the actual size and level 2? So I want to get to it here. First things first, you got to settle one thing. What is a market maker and what are they doing? They are making a market, exactly what it sounds like. So when you look at something like XLF here, you're going to have constant bids and asks at all the level 1 prices. Anybody that's doing that in my mark is a market maker, and they're all over the place. So, you know, when you see a stock trading, and we're usually accustomed to looking at a level 2, we're going to base things off of the charts and key price levels. There are times and situations where you simply want to look at what is going on in the tape and what is going on in that level 2 depth to give you an idea of how to make money. Now, I want to get a couple of things out of the way. I'm going to say a term called quote stuffing. Now, there's a couple of ways people like to define quote stuffing, so I'm going to give a couple here and then I'll let you know what I'm talking about. Quote stuffing can mean putting a bunch of bids and offers that you don't intend to get filled. That is illegal. What I'm going to talk about here is when you have algorithmic style trading, putting orders all across the bid and ask, constantly at the level 1, but constantly adjusting them. It's quote stuffing, but it's not necessarily the direct manipulative kind. It can be because it's an ADR. So it's primary markets trading somewhere else, and someone's making a market and it's tracking like a European stock or a European level 2. It could be a dual listed stock. So if you're watching it in Canada and you're watching it in the US, the quotes are constantly changing even though nothing's happening in the stock because the FX is moving one way or the other. That's the kind of quote stuffing that you're going to see on a constant basis, specifically in ETFs if you happen to trade them. You're going to see it a lot in anything that's dual listed. And you can take advantage on something like that when you notice a change. Because when a stock like this, which has a lot of quote stuffing on XLF, like when you look at the actual prints going off in level 2, you just saw it flip from 43 bid to 43 ask. There's tens of thousands of shares there. You can rewind this when you're watching it. Look at that tape. Did you see tens of thousands of shares go off when it filled? No, because most of it is pulling and putting, it's getting pulled, it's getting put back in. All you're seeing is a static look. A fraction of that is getting hit. What you want to look for when you get to a key price level is, instead of people not taking fills, all that order flow not getting filled in, you want to note when the fills are actually happening. When is that level getting wiped and the size is actually going off? And more importantly, at a key price level, if you notice that happening at a key price level, that can indicate a little bit of somebody getting caught off guard. An example sometimes can happen at the open, but I want you to note this little volume spike at the bottom. Volume at the open, big. Okay, let's do this here. Volume at the open, obviously going to be the biggest candle of the day. That's going to be right off of that open. There's this volume spike at the bottom. So what you'll see in a situation like that is get all your quote stuffing, then somewhere at the bottom, a big actual fill takes place. It jams to the upside here, immediate reversal, some relief comes in, and then it holds the bottom. That's the kind of reversal indicator I'm looking for. You typically don't want to get caught trading around a price, trying to pick a bottom for a scalp trade if there aren't real fills going off. So you've got to be looking at that tape at that key level to see when it goes from, look at my big bid ask and no one's getting those fills, to, oh baby, they just got everything they can eat at that price level. Time to take my shot. One other thing that I think is important when it comes to this, you will often see tricks, bamboozlement around key price levels with fake order flow. So when you're looking at actual market depth, I'm just going to throw Apple up here because it'll do a better example than XLF of demonstrating that. Maybe that's even too fast. I'll go Rivian. I want something which will show you like level 1, level 2 depth. So the top of the bid ask here is always going to show you the best bid, the best ask, all that good stuff. Be very wary of size orders that if they become the level 1, they can be sitting behind here. Like if I were to see a big order sitting down at like 1859, oh goodness, there's a big buyer in Rivian, let's go, let's go. If somebody gets to the level 1 price and that order disappears, I don't care what I think of that level. It could be a buy level that I like. I'm assuming that is a fake size order. The only time I care about a big size order, which is good if it happens on one gateway, because it usually means it's kind of unsophisticated. They're not really breaking up that order flow. I want to see that taking fills at the level 1. I want to see it appearing. Gets filled once, it comes back again. I want to see it get filled for a little bit, come back and take it for more. That's what you want to see. It's the same way in XLF. I'm looking for when they actually leave their orders in and get swiped instead of all that pushing and pulling of that order flow. It's really, really important when you're looking at size on the level 2 to ensure that that person is intending to take the fill. Now, one of the best ways, I've said this before, one of the best ways to do this is to actually filter if you want to. You can have 2 time and sales. One can filter for bigger order flow. That can help. I like seeing all the prints, and I tend to have more than one level 2 if I have the opportunity to. Market makers are there to serve a function. They don't have a choice but to put that order flow in. So the other advantage you have that I'm going to leave you with here is when is the time they are not going to want to make a market? When things go haywire. When all of a sudden conditions rapidly change in a stock, nobody wants to be making a market. That is an opportunity. Because when you have a liquidity event, a stock like iRobot, where there was news with Amazon and then not fighting the EU or making amendments to the EU, that just happened yesterday. And the second that drops, the market makers stop making a market. They pull as fast as they can. Some of them get trapped. And you're going to get a hint at where to execute based on where they start making a market again. It's a trap if you get caught at the bottom, but when the bad news happens and it comes back in, oh, what does it show you? Okay, it showed you a bit of a bid up at that 33. That's fine, made a fresh low, but this is the key. Right in here, this is where it started bouncing. Bidders came in at 31.5 to about 32. When that fell back in, where was the easy entry point? Just looking for it. If that's where they wanted to make liquidity before, a lot of times in a vacuum, that's where the liquidity will come back again. When the market makers stop making a market and you don't want to trade it because it's too wild, look at where the liquidity comes back in force in those gaps. Then look to execute around those areas. You can structure trades where there's now a huge gap from back to forth. A lot of people don't like trading stocks like this because, oh, when it happens, oh, I could lose so much. Forget about that nonsense. That's an opportunity. It's an opportunity, but you've got to observe and have your level 2 up when you do it. You've got to observe where the market makers are confident coming back in there. And once they do, they're going to drop some hints for you. Whether it's this, whether it's buyout rumors, or it could be a short seller report, whatever it might be. When you get those crazy spikes, they're about to start dropping some hints when they put those bids and offers back in. So that's Real Deal Neil for you. We'll see how long that one sticks around here. But market makers, you got to be able to make money off of them because they're not going anywhere. Take it easy, everybody.
Thank you very much for that, Neil.
Thank you so much,
I was not
Neil.
ready, but here we go. That's all good. Yeah, I got to get used to the whole vibe, but probably won't be much longer because Neil's going to be on Lunch Money on the new channel very, very soon. And yeah, I don't want to spill the beans or anything, but maybe sooner than you think. All right, the Future. Guys, the Future's making a move, okay?
We're above 16.8 now, and we're above 16.8 by a nice margin, about 18, 20 points or so. So let's see if we can get that continuation up on the future. We were kind of doing the dance, the wick dance here with 16.8, and it looked to me like we were putting in lower lows. We still have to get above that 16.8 1/3 for me to get super excited. I'm talking about this consolidation bottom trough, whatever you want to call it right here. I want to see prints above that, and then after that, I want to start seeing higher highs and higher lows. So let's see if we can make our way up there. The future, stair stepping back up. In the same way, NVIDIA is holding that 540 level awfully well, and now it's knocking on the door of 542. So NVIDIA coming off that bottom that it put in at 535.5-ish, and moving right back up now, down only 0.25% on the day, Adara. So we'll have to see whether we get that continuation back up. NVIDIA awfully strong compared to some of these other chip names, because you have AMD down 2.5 and Intel down 1.1. The only one that's green on my chart is Marvell and Broadcom. Marvell's up 2% for whatever the hell reason. I have no idea why. Why is Marvell up 2% here? Let me just have a look. Oh, here we go. Update. Bank of America, BofA Securities, maintain Marvell with coverage with a buy target and $80 with buy and $80 price target. That's a nice premium, about a $15 premium from where it's trading at right now, $64 and 2/3 is Marvell. Broadcom is only marginally green, up 0.09%, so we'll have to wait and see how that all does. Back to the trade on LAES, still kind of doing nothing here at break even. We're not putting any lower lows, but we're not putting any higher highs either. So gonna pack my patience with this trade. I like the fact that we're above VWAP. I like the VWAP hold and the $0.50 area hold as well. I've got my beak wetters, as you can see, lined up there at different levels. We'll see if we can get that move up on LAES. Yes, Kyle de Bredette, don't forget the 30-year bond auction. We did talk about that, Kyle, before you came in. That comes in at 1 o'clock. Make sure you're ready for that. But just from previous experience, I noticed that there's a bit of a delay between the actual time of the auction and when the market reacts. It's a bit of sometimes it's a couple of minutes, sometimes it's 5. We'll have to wait and see what it does today, but yeah, that is of importance for us today. All right, Dara, it is time to restart the lesson.
Yes.
Today, we are continuing with the theme of the week, talking about level 2. Obi, from what I heard, did an absolutely fantastic job filling in for me these past 3 days. I really can't thank Obi enough. Yeah, there he is. He's back there. Obi enough. Always stand-up guy, willing to stand up and help anybody. And not only that, but he is much better than me at tape reading and level 2. So I was really happy that he was able to give you guys that lesson. For now, though, you're going to have to put up with sucky me. Let's go and start the lesson anew. What is level 2, guys? Level 2 is essentially the order book for NASDAQ stocks, New York stocks, over-the-counter market, ARCA, well, you name it, the exchange, it's got a level 2. Orders are placed through many different market makers and other market participants. We'll talk about the other market participants in a second. Level 2 will show you a ranked list of the best bid.
I'm sorry, I'm just talking.
No worries. Level 2 will show you a ranked list of the best bid and ask prices from each of these participants. This gives you detailed insight into the price action. Knowing exactly who has an interest in a stock can be extremely useful, especially if you're day trading. I don't really hear a lot about level 2 when it comes to swing trading or more obviously fundamental investing. We don't really hear Michael Noss talk about it in his analysis. So it is more of an intraday trading utility or utensil, whatever you want to call it, than it is for anything else. So let's, there we just got a beak wetter there at 274 on LAES. Let's see if we can get that move into 279. We're getting some good volume behind this move here on LAES. Let's see if we can get that continued move up. All right, who are the players in the marketplace? Let's talk a little bit about that. Oh, can we put up the topics menu again, Chilean Nightmare? I appreciate you, man. All right. There are 3 types of players in the marketplace that we need to concern ourselves with. First, market makers. We'll talk about them in a second. The other, electronic communication networks, or ECNs. Thirdly, wholesalers. Let's talk about the first one, the market maker, the MM. These are players who provide liquidity into the marketplace. They're required to buy stocks when nobody else is buying and sell when nobody else is selling. They make the market. The example I used to start the show was of the disgraced investor Bernie Madoff. Now, Bernie Madoff did not start off as a hedge fund guy. He started off as a market maker. And he started off as one of the more, let's just call a spade a spade, he was one of the honest market makers. He was picking up the phone during the dot-com bubble and making markets, buying when no one was buying, selling when no one was selling. Back then, you know, people called. Not everything was done online like we do here. People will call, be like, oh, I need to sell 100,000 shares. And he was picking up the phone. That's kind of how he made his name, all right, during that time. So these institutions, individuals, whatever you want to call them, companies, they add liquidity to the market by making sure that there are enough shares for buyers and for sellers. They make sure that the liquidity in the market is sound so that whoever wants to buy can buy, whoever wants to sell can sell, okay? ECNs, electronic communications networks. What are these? They are computerized order placement systems, and anyone can trade through these systems, both large institutional traders and retail traders. And we'll talk a little bit about ECNs in a second. And third and finally is the wholesalers, the order flow firms. This is kind of like what we've been hearing a lot about, payment for order flow, whether it's through Robinhood or any other payment for order flow app. Many online brokers will sell their order flow to wholesalers. These order flow firms then execute orders on behalf of the online brokers, usually for retail traders. Each market participant is recognized by the 4-letter ID that appears on the level 2 quotes. And some examples that you can see, like on ours, it's 3 letters. So that's why I was kind of showing you, I was saying to you earlier, I can give you my gateways, but it won't mean a whole lot to you because yours may be different, right? So you can see here on my book over here, Chilean Nightmare, you see BATS, you see ARCA, you see the New York book, etc. Okay? Now, the most important market maker. So there are multiple market makers. Which one is the most important? The most important market maker is called the AX, AX. They control the price action in a given stock. You can determine which market maker is the AX by watching the level 2 action for a few days. It's the market maker who consistently dominates the price action. So how do you kind of determine this? Well, you see what Obi has done in the past. Obi would tell us, you know, I'm recording my screen. He wants to be able to go back and watch the level 2. Well, what the hell is he watching? He wants to see who's dominating, right? One of the things he's doing, I don't want to speak on his behalf, one of the things he's observing is who is leading the charge on this particular name. And oftentimes you'll be able to kind of see that by looking at where the biggest bids are sitting, where the biggest offers sitting, and it keeps repeating. So for example, if we see on Amazon that the New York book consistently has, you know, the most amount of shares on the bid at a particular level, or multiple levels, or the most amount of shares on the ask at a particular level, and it's kind of dictating where the support and resistance are because it's the one with the biggest size at those levels. There is many different ways to be able to see it, and this is kind of like one of those tricks of the trade kind of things where you kind of really figure it out for yourself. But one of the benefits of tape watching is to be able to determine which market maker is the one that's dominating the price on this particular instrument. There may not be, okay? It may be a combination of several, but that's only determinable by actually doing some tape watching, okay? Oh, perfect. Sorry, I forgot that we were there. Why use level 2? So I'll give you 4 good reasons why, as a day trader, you should be using level 2. Well, level 2 quotes can tell you a lot about what's happening in a given stock. For example, you can tell what kind of buying is taking place. Is it retail or is it institutional? By looking at the type of market participants that are involved. Large institutions don't use the same market makers as retail traders, okay? You can also tell when institutional players are trying to keep the buying quiet, especially if you look at the ECN order size for irregularities. These can mean that a buyout or accumulation is taking place. And I'll talk about this in a second. Oftentimes, you're not going to see institutional players put their entire order all at one level. They'll want to distribute it over different levels, okay? And you're going to want to see, number one, are they using the same market maker to liquidate their position or to get into a position? Are they using, like what price increments are you finding resistance at? Is it every 10 pennies? Is it every 20 pennies? Try to notice similarities like that to see if a large institution is either acquiring a position or liquidating a position by looking for kind of patterns in that way. Thirdly, you can greatly increase your odds of a successful trade by trading with the axe when the price is trending. The axe provides liquidity, but its traders are out there to make profit just like everyone else. So essentially what it's trying to say is if you're able to determine the axe on a particular instrument, the next step is to determine what direction that axe is taking that particular instrument on the particular day. Are they going long that day? Are they going short that day? What is their intentions? And the best idea is to go with them, not against them. Because, you know, I don't know how much money you have. I don't have enough money to take on these institutional traders. All right, let's go to the screen here. I'm going to have to digress for a second. We just got our second beak wetter on LAES as this one starts heading up towards that 280, 285 level. We just got a beak wetter at 279. The next profit taker is sitting here at $2.84. We'll see if we get that bad boy filled. But LAES stair-stepping incrementally, not with any real aggression here, just more of an incremental step up.
Yeah.
Small cap gapper du jour. Fourth reason why we should be using level 2 Adara is you can tell when a strong trend is about to come to an end by looking for trades that take place between the bid and the ask. We call that the mid print, okay? These trades are often placed by large traders who take a small loss to make sure that they get out of a stock in time. So those are 4 reasons why you should be using level 2 as a day trader. But the topic that interests me the most, and I don't know about you guys, but I want to know how I can use level 2 to identify tricks and deception in the market. A lot easier said than done, and even if you kind of know the ropes, you really got to practice it a lot to get the hang of it in real time, because as you can see, level 2 moves like crazy. Watching level 2 can tell you a lot about what's happening, but there's also a lot of deception. These are a few of the most common tricks played by market makers. First and foremost, hiding order size. Market makers can hide their order size by placing small orders and updating them when they get a fill. They do this to unload or pick up a large order without tipping off their traders, without tipping off other traders and scaring them away. Nobody's going to attempt to push through a 500,000 share resistance, but traders may think it's a bit beatable of a barrier if it's about 10,000 shares rather than 500. And so here's what they mean by that. So let's look at LAES, for example, okay? Now let's look over here. We have decent size here at the 280. Let's say an institutional player has about, let's say 500,000 shares. That would show up on my size over here as 5,000, all right? But they're not going to put 5,000 or 500,000, would show up 5,000 on here because it's lots, at that 280 level, right? Because that would look like an insurmountable barrier to a person who may want to go long $2.75. So like, okay, well, all I can get is about 5 pennies here before I meet a brick wall. So they're not going to do that. They're either going to basically layer their orders, or they're going to put a refill order, meaning that the 10,000 shares that they have put at that $2.80 area, it will automatically refresh with another 10,000 once the initial 10,000 is filled. But all you're going to see on the book is that 10,000 share order. It's not until all of it is satisfied that you're going to see another 10,000 pop up in its place. Okay? So you need to be aware of hiding order size. All right? The other one is order sizes and timing. Market makers occasionally try to deceive other traders using their order sizes and timing. For example, we talked about ECN. So JP Morgan's ECN, the 4-letter ticker for that is JPMS. So JPMS may place a large offer to get short sellers on board only to pull the order and place a large bid. And Neil talked about this on his spiel, right? Called order stuffing. Now, technically, it's illegal, right? If you put an order out into the market that you don't have an intention of getting it filled, that is technically illegal, right? But how can one determine one's intention? You can obviously draw some sort of inferences, but it's really not that conclusive, so much harder to prove, right? But the point is, I can put, let's go back to the LAES example over here. I can put a 500,000 sell order at that $2.80 on LAES, only when it comes into $2.79, or right when it starts coming into that $2.80, I pull the order, okay? So all of a sudden, you thought that there was a brick wall waiting for you at 280, and then all of a sudden it's a blue sky setup. You're flying through that order because I bamboozled you into thinking that I was gonna stop the ascent when my real intention was to actually get long, right? And squeeze all the shorts who got in at that area. So you really have to be careful with this order sizes and timing, otherwise known as quote stuff. And third and finally, for our purposes, not the only type of bamboozlement there is, obviously for our purposes, is trading through ECNs, electronic communications networks. Market makers can also hide their actions by trading through ECNs because ECNs can be used by anybody. It's often difficult to tell whether large ECN orders are retail or institutional, and they'll do the same thing on those networks. What they'll do is they'll put small orders that either get refilled or are incrementally based at 1 penny intervals, 5 penny intervals. And the trick for you is going to try to either be to determine whether the person's intentions is really to sell or to buy based upon how the level 2 is refreshing and where the size is coming into. Like when that size at 280 gets eaten up, are you seeing very similar size show up at $2.85? So if you had 10,000 shares sitting at 280 and all of a sudden there's another 10,000 shares that shows up at 285 that wasn't there, you need to be able to pick up on stuff like that. And again, a lot easier said than done, especially when you're doing it in real time and you got to make these like spur of the moment decisions, Adair.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, and thank you so much for going over that again. Also, there's a question from Smita Patel that I think is really interesting, and I think maybe one other people have. I think I have it as well. How as a trader do I know the order is from market maker, ECN, online broker? Is there a way to differentiate? Thanks.
So I personally don't know how to be able to see the ECNs, but on this particular software, we have access here to the market makers, and each one is delineated by a certain gateway. So what you're looking for here is, number one, if you're trying to determine the axe, which market maker is dominating this particular stock, you're gonna have to really watch this for a while. You're gonna have to look at which market maker has the most size at the most important levels, whether they're holding up that stock at a particular support level or keeping it down at a particular resistance level with unusual amount of size relative to other market makers, etc. So you're gonna have to do a lot of tape reading, or not tape reading, level 2 watching, market depth watching in order for you to be able to determine that.
Yeah, well, no, and I think this kind of helps me like understand too better, because I know Obi is really pays attention to the tape, and I know at one point recorded like the tape, right? And I think that makes sense, because if it's like if this behavior is so distinct, it makes sense to be able to kind of like notice it and then clock it and kind of learn from it, right? And kind of try to find ways to work within the market making system. So I think that's real. I think that kind of helped contextualize that for me a bit too.
Yep.
Also, I think it's kind of interesting what you said about how it's not technically illegal and we don't know people's intentions, but like, you know, I think it's kind of interesting. It made me kind of think too in a legal sense of like actus reus versus mens rea, right? Yeah. So it's like, it might not be a guilty act, but did you have a guilty mind?
Well, here's the thing. So now we're going to get into a lot of legal terminology, but this is where I love, I really shine here. Look, the legal system allows you to draw inferences into someone's mental state based upon their actions. So I can never really go into somebody's mind and extract their real thoughts and their actual thoughts, but the law allows me to draw an inference about what they wanted to do based on what they did. So we're not going to go into like these hard and fast examples, but the more actions there are that tilt a certain way, the more that, you know, whoever the decision maker is has to work with and say, well, you know, you can say that you meant this, that, or the other, but your actions really tilt in a different direction. So you don't. There's no obvious way to get someone's intentions unless they're spoken out loud. But if they're not spoken, we can determine their intentions based on their actions. It's a legal inference, right? Well, that's really kind of beyond our the scope here. I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, thank you. Just because I know it's kind of like, I guess, tangential, but it was something I thought of that I think is interesting, where it's like, it still gives you kind of like a sense, I guess, of intention. You
For
can kind of
sure.
infer intention. So thank you for touching on that.
Saad Mahmood says, you can spoof on the level 2, but the tape does not lie, and you're absolutely right about that. It's just a lot harder to kind of, for me anyway, I got to tell you, to really be able to digest everything the tape has to say, but there are some great traders out there that really do use the tape, and you're absolutely right about that, Saad.
Yeah.
What do we have here? Scott Angel, Men's Ray, I haven't heard that since high school. Okay. NG, where on the chart did you buy LAES? Well, it says my position right there, my man. $2.64. It's right on the position board. And we've taken some out at 280, coming back into that 272 area. But my absolute stop is the break of 250. But I'm really hoping for a nicer move up to test high of days. We are putting in higher highs and higher lows. We haven't broken that trend since around 1145. When we bottomed out here through the break of VWAP, and then we started making in higher highs and higher lows, Adara, on LAES. Now about 40.5% to the good. Was much higher earlier than that, but we'll keep an eye and see what we'll get there. Adam DeLuce, where's the Lambo trade? That's like a Fonzie-ism right there. Shout out to Adam. I hope Arsenal does a little bit better. I heard Arsenal's going to Dubai. They're supposed to be taking, I love that,
I know.
the whole team to Dubai, kind of get
fun.
some R&R. Yeah, so that's the look there. All right, let's move up, see what else the chat was talking about there. Sounds like the perfect Bernie Madoff maker. Yeah, okay, that's hilarious. Cheapest way to get level 2 data for the futures, please. Well, I mean, really, that has all to do with your broker, and depends on who you're with, right? So in the first iteration of this lesson at around 11 o'clock, I was telling whoever asked at the time, all the level 2 privileges that we have on the floor here are given incrementally. So when you're a trainee and you show up on the floor, you're not given the full book right away. Either, you have to kind of earn your way to the full picture. That's how we do it over here. Now, with respect to trading at home, you determine how deep of a view you want into the market. So, what was it called again, Katina man? NASDAQ what? NASDAQ total view is kind of like the basics of level 2 that you need to have in order to be able to kind of see these markets like we are, right? That gives you a few books, but there is way more. There is the ARCA, there is the BATS, there is the Edge A, there is the Edge X. There is so many different gateways, and unless your broker is kind of combining them all into one as a package, you may have to pay for them separately, right? And it's really all going to come down to your broker. Now, in addition to that, there are brokers out there that will say to you, look, you use my platform, you run up commissions, and I give you the data for free. I know that my broker does that. So if I have X amount in trades on the month, my broker will be like, don't worry about paying your data fees. I got them covered this month. You spent enough in commissions.
I like
right?
that, commish.
Yeah, right? And so that's, that's going to be peculiar, obviously, to your broker, just so make sure, to speak to them or to go on their FYI page or anything like that to figure out how much it's going to cost you.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Also, it reminds me also, we were talking about, hiding orders. Something Obi was saying this whole week. Shout out to Obi and for coming in here and being awesome this whole week.
Oh, he is.
And covering. He said, no one can hide from the tape. And I said it sounds like, like an action movie,
you can't.
kind of tagline, but it's true. It's very accurate, right?
Yeah.
So some people were saying dark pool time of sales. Some people were saying, but I think, other than, I think that is true, but I think the general idea is you still see the orders on the tape. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a pretty interesting look, and I appreciate him for bringing that one up. And also, so I guess NG was saying that he wanted you to clarify your entry thesis for LAES.
Sure.
LAES.
Okay, so that's an easy one to get to right there. Number one, first and foremost, let's bring in the side chart, and I'll explain to you what my thinking was here. Trust me, I'm not out of my mind. All right, here, LAES. Now, this one was the only small cap gapper that was at VWAP when we started looking at it. Forget about SWVL, that came in later, okay? When I got into LAES, it was the only small cap gapper that hadn't given up the ghost on VWAP. And it was at VWAP. So I said to myself, look, I'm not just going to punch in at VWAP because we're at VWAP. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's great if VWAP holds, but I need proof that VWAP is going to hold. And what ended up happening is we came into the half dollar and we started curling up. So just at that VWAP area. So as my friend Neil likes to say, I'm getting it on the back end. I'm waiting for that trough to form and the curl to start coming back up. And usually you see that by a couple of green candles. So that's what I said to myself. I'm like, look, if it makes a new 5-minute candle to make a new high through that 264, I'm long. I put my long in there, and we've been making higher highs and higher lows, a nice upward channel off that view up. So that's all that it was. Number one, I don't take a stock. I don't take a small cap gapper. Sorry, I just had to clarify that. Long if it's south of VWAP. That's the number one rule. Number two, it has to break its pre-market high for me to get interested. The pre-market high on LAES was that $2.33, so 2 1/3. It broke that right at the bell. So the two, basically rules, the hard and fast rules that I have for these small cap gappers were fulfilled, I mean. And so that's why I took it long, and I took it on the back end because I needed to prove. Number one, you're going to hold the half dollar. Number two, you're holding that VWAP area. So that's what I was looking for there. Obviously, there are many other rules that I have, but they're not as hard and fast. We talk about volume. We talk about the catalyst itself. We talk about the short float. We talk about the float. A lot of these factor into it, but they're not like these concrete rules that I just absolutely will not take a trade if it's south of VWAP and if it hasn't broken the pre-market high on small cap gappers. I want to make that very clear. That's not my trading technique for large caps, for example.
And and I think I appreciate you for clarifying that, because I think it's made it easier for me to kind of help with analysis. So someone in the chat's asking about a small cap. Now I know, like, hey, these are some things to look for. Like, is it above VWAP? Is it? Did we make a new high from pre-market? So I appreciate you kind of. You talked a lot about this, and I learned a lot through our whole small cap session. But I think also, like, just those rules I find are pretty helpful when just analyzing the merit of a small cap on a daily.
Absolutely.
So I think that is very cool. Also, I did have a little baby scalp in Meta I would like to chat about.
Go for it.
I talk about this a lot. I don't know why, but I find Meta to respect ranges really well. I don't know, like, why this is, and obviously that's not always the case, but I find when it gets rangy, it gets real rangy. So I liked this 365 to 365.50. We kept doing it for a while, and I said, you know what? I got in right at 365.40 once I kind of noticed we got above 365.50 and then gave it back, and I was like, I see something. I like it. So I got in 365.40, was trying to get out right at 365, but then what I noticed was, I was like, we can't get 365. We get 365.10, and then we come running right back up. So I said, let's do 365.10. We got it. So this is what I mean when I say scalpulation, right? It's not like it's a fun term, I like saying it, but also there is kind of a method to my madness, I swear, where it's just kind of, I like looking at the tape, I like seeing, or like the book, and I like seeing what price levels we have, and I like to do that in conjunction with the chart. So as much as that, it sounds a little Looney Tunes, there is a little bit of, I guess, a reasoning behind it. And that if it's a strategy, I think that works for, each strategy is going to work differently for different people. But also the other reason I like this level is because look where, I mentioned this earlier, I believe, too, on Meta. It's where we consolidated. We had this consolidation, swoop back up, touched it, hung out, swoop, and then swoop back up into it. And that was kind of where we ended up breaking, right? So that's why I really like this level. I would have gone long had we decisively broken that 365.50. Now we have, and I tried to get in, and then I was like, I just don't have a good point of entry here. Depending on what we do at VWAP, because this 368.70 area was another interesting consolidation area, so I'll have to watch there. But yeah, just kind of taking, like, I was talking to Obi about this yesterday too, just taking trades that are within your wheelhouse and within your kind of comfort zone. I think that's really important. Also, Mademoiselle Lily getting interesting over here.
Love it.
Yeah, Ms. Whatever you'd like to call her. She, because I said I identified my clear Lily zones earlier. One of them is the 631.50, 632. One of them is the 628, 629 area, and the last one is that 634, 635. So we're kind of getting into, we're kind of in between zones 1 and 2. What we do at 634 will be interesting. To be clear, I don't have a bias in terms of direction. Whatever direction we move off these levels, I'm going to play it. I tried to get it at 632. Alas, I could not get filled. Sad face. But that's okay. We're not going to let this get us down. Can't nobody break my stride.
Can nobody hold me down. Oh no.
You gotta keep on moving. So yeah.
I left you high and dry.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, we gotta keep on moving though. So it's it's all good. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is I'm just trying to continue kind of going, kind of see what we do here. Also, Nick W. and a couple other people in the chat have been mentioning Netflix. I've had my eye on Netflix. It is on my side chart, and just for, proof is in the pudding. So here is my side chart on Netflix, because I am a woman of my word. But I like that we just kind of, I've been watching Netflix levels all day. I didn't have a clear point of entry, but I can talk about what levels I find interesting. So look at this, this kind of consolidation we had pre-market at this 487.20 area. We swoop up to 500, go into 500, go back down and fall back down at, you guessed it, roughly 487. Then have another little baby high, go to 487. Then we fell with the swiftness below 487, and we came into another area of interest, which is that 484, 485 area, right? Swoop. Slightly higher bottom, low here, and then now we're coming back into this 480, 486, 487. So interesting areas. These levels repeat themselves. We'll have to see what we do here. If we make a higher high, I could get involved. We do have, actually, though, I will say, positive catalysts on Netflix. I saw this tweet earlier, too, and I passed it over to Sean, but I think Netflix, its gaming revenue has been really strong. It's interesting gaming. It's trying to beef up its gaming venture.
It has.
Get some
It's
reps
been
in there.
acquiring companies over the past, I think, couple of years to get its foot into gaming. Guys, we are at a critical point here on the fuge. This was a level we were talking about, that 6, 8 1/3. This is kind of like the bottom trough that we found support at, which also happens to be support level 1 on pivot points. We're right back at that level again. Are we going to break through this resistance level? We held, I don't want to say we held 16.8 because we didn't hold 16.8, but the general level was a quick below to 16.753, and then we started pumping right back up. So here it is. We are at 16.8 1/3-ish area, the bottom end trough that we made here at around 10 o'clock or 10:15 or whatever, around that area. We're right there again. So let's see if we get that continuation. If we do break this area, 16.8 1/3, my next target area for possible resistance will be VWAP, which right now is at 16.875 on my chart. This excludes pre-market data, okay? So this excludes all aftermarket data from yesterday and all pre-market data. This is 4 o'clock from yesterday over here, and then 9:30 a.m. from this morning. So some of my indicators may be a little bit different than yours. That's because the data starts populating for today at 9:30 a.m. I've done that specifically on this particular chart. On my other charts, I have the pre-market data. Just want to make that very clear. So this area over here of very important interest to me, and we're getting a bit of a double top right now on the 5-minute chart, which doesn't mean much, but at least it's showing that this level is being watched by other traders as well. So 16.8 1/3. Let's see if we can break that level from around 10 this morning. If we do, keep your eye out, number 1, for that 16.8 3/4. That's VWAP, and then you have 16.9, obviously, that 100-point level that we've got to break through again. We were decidedly above that this morning, and then we kind of gave up the ghost on that CPI number. What's up, Katina, man? NVIDIA's waiting. I'm sorry, NVIDIA's waiting. The Katina man is waiting for NVIDIA to break lower. He's long Amazon right now, and short NVIDIA. The Katina man is he's doing the dance here with NVIDIA as it comes into that 545 area. Amazon knocking on the door of 154.5 off that 153 bottom. The Katina man just updating you on his trades there in case you are following along. Up candle. I like that name, dude. I'm telling you, you got my attention with that name. What percentage of level 2 is fake, do you think? I really don't have any idea, Up Candle. I got to tell you the truth. I've never thought about it. I've never read anything that's given me data on that point. I think it's a hell of a question. I think a lot of traders, especially around here, would want to know that. And if you get anything on that, I'd really like to see some of your data on that as well. But maybe we'll talk to some people about that. There'll be some people on soon on the midday. Maybe we'll ask them that particular question. Put that question in the chamber until we have that guest on, maybe we can ask him about it. But yeah, shout out to you, a hell of a question there. Nick Dub, I think Netflix will retrace VWAP, Adara. What do you guys think? Well, before I give that to Adara, I just want to tell you that Netflix is popping today, not because of its acquisitions in gaming, which is a hell of a macro tailwind,
Adara. But also the ad. Yep, sorry.
Bang. No, you're right. Netflix is basically trying to change its model. It only makes 12, what is it now? 10 bucks, 12 bucks a month, something like that,
I think
right?
so, something like that.
It's only making 12 bucks a month off you if you are a non-ad tier account. But if you are an ad tier account, the more you watch, the more they make. And they were saying this morning, 85% of the ad tier account is watching over 2 hours a day. So the more you watch, again, very simple, the more they make. So they are really going to probably, and my suspicion is, they're really going to focus on building their ad tier account because it's more revenue for them, right? And we all know what digital ad sales can do. Look at Meta and yeah, okay? Look at Meta, look at Google, and then you can draw your theory from there. And that's a lot of market share that you can take from them, right?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of spending dollars, a lot of advertising dollars that companies have that could be redistributed into Netflix that may not go to Meta, may not go to Google. And we know Amazon's pumping up their ad game as well. Amazon's is not a slouch. They're not just sitting on their hands. They're also developing their ad business. So I just wanted to point that out, and you can have a look at it.
Appreciate that. You may as well call it Amazon at this point. I swear Amazon has way too many ads going on at all times. But I understand it, right? It's for revenue. Also, I'll look at Netflix. I did mention this a little bit to Nick Dubb in the chat just because I didn't know if we'd get to the chart. But I love talking about Netflix's chart, so I'll kind of finish my analysis here. I pointed out that 488. I think a 488 break is pretty necessary in terms of the whole VWAP thing. And look, we just fell with the viciousness from almost 488. So I don't think this is insignificant. Look at the consolidation we had earlier. Look at how swiftly we fell through that area after bouncing off it several times. So I do think this 488 could be a skosh of a problem here, I have to say. If we, hi me on the chart. That's so fun. I like the little pop-ups. But yeah, so I think like if we break that 488, 490 area, that would be of interest to me. Again, not advice, just my take on the chart. I think it would take a few more higher highs for us to break above VWAP, but I think the first battle that Netflix needs to fight to win the VWAP war has to be 488. So that is my take on that. And I think honestly, that's just kind of been a little bit clearer of a level to me based on how we fell off of that, even just getting close. We didn't even get close to breaking it. We just swooped back down there, right? So I think I would just be watching Netflix at 488.
What's the spread on this bad boy?
The spread on this, he's only about like 15, 20 cents, at least on P-Pro 8, which for Netflix is not bad. I mean, I've traded Lily with a worse spread than that, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't, Lily and Netflix, you got to be prepared for it. It's like peanut butter, how well that thing is like spread. That analogy didn't work, but we tried, and that's what matters.
All right, guys, we're pumping here on the future. The future's coming into that 50-point level. Here we go. 16,850. The Katina Man and I are going to be at odds with one another this week because, well, the Cowboys play the Packers. And I even said to him this morning, I'm like, Katina Man, what's your look? He's like, what do you think? I want the Cowboys? So I'm like, no, Katina Man. I'm talking about who you think is going to win. And then I didn't even know this. Jordan Love is second behind Dak Prescott in passing touchdowns. I did not know that at all. And given Dallas's track record against Green Bay, even at home, I was like, I don't want to play Green Bay, right? But then I got to thinking, I'm like, look, it's a completely different team, right? For Green Bay, Dallas is not a completely different team. You still have the same quarterback in place that we lost. What year was that? 2020? When we lost you guys that was 2020, wasn't it? 2020, yeah. 2021 or was 2020? No, not at Lambeau, in Dallas. We lost you guys, yes. I think it was a second round game. I'm pretty sure it was 2020, bro. Yeah, something like that. The Katina Man says Green Bay is the youngest team in the NFL. So, yeah. Well, I don't know about that, bro. Anyway, so yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a match. What day is it? Is Sunday game? Sunday game. Okay, 4 o'clock game. America's game of the week, obviously. Dallas. No, I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, the Packers are widely followed as well, like the Cowboys. So yeah, kind of digressing there. The only reason I got into that whole thing is because we said, "Here we go." Oh, and that's
no, I know.
Okay, here we go. Right. Anyway, back to the future, Adara, as we break through that 16.8 1/3, and we just knocked on the door of 16.850. So now we're looking at VWAP here, 16.875 as personally my second resistance level to look at, followed obviously by 16.9, the 100-point level. To go break even on the day, on the NQ, we have to break through 16.9.5. Technically, it's 16.946, but let's just say, let's round it to that half-point level, that 50-point level. So 16.950 is break even on the NQ. We're down 0.58 right now. Trying to make higher highs. We've broken through a flat bottom break here with respect to this level, but we really haven't pumped any higher highs. A higher high to me is going to have to be above this crest at 16.925. So all these different levels to look at here, but it looks like as if Nvidia maybe here and some of the and Amazon are leading the charge up. Maybe Meta as well. It's $4 off the bottom. Apple's the dead one today. You know, Softy not faring much better. 380 bottom, 382 and a third right now. Tesla is trying to come back into VWAP there, but it's been a really bad day for Tesla today. Really just rocketing right back down. We kind of got a base here at 225, but not much else. Still south of VWAP Adera on TSLA. Let's go back and check how our trade is doing on LAES. There we go.
Ooh,
now here we go.
Here we go.
Right back into that 280 level, Adera, and we can knock on the door of 284. That's our third beak wetter on LAES. Small cap gapper de jour above VWAP, hence why I got into this. Here we go. 282. Can we get 284 prints? We're awfully close. 2 pennies off that beak wetter. I'm seeing 83 show up here. If we can get that filled, that would just be aces. Let's see if we get it, and then maybe we'll set up another beak wetter there at the 290 area, Adera. But packing our patience for now.
Yeah, I mean, patience must be packed. Keep it in the suitcase with your toothbrush and your hotel amenities. I don't know what I'm saying. I do still like Tesla failing this, like what you said, that this Tesla cannot break VWAP, and it keeps failing at my level.
Yeah.
This 227, so I might get back involved in this slightly above 227. You know what I will? I am going to get involved in this slightly above 227. And then I would piece it out again where I've just been piecing it out. So 226.50, my first area, second area, that 226. I think I might have set my point of interest a little too high, but it is what it is. We're going to have to see what occurs here. Also, I would like to take a quick moment here to thank our lovely friends at Benzinga. So yeah, we are brought to you by Benzinga Pro. You can sign up today for 50% off their premier news and research platform for retail traders with code TTV capital letters. That is TTV capital letters. Use the link in the description to go to checkout.
Bang.
So there we go. That is Benzinga. Also, I'll pull up Mara because Zach Frack, great name, in the chat talking about Mara here. Also, I'm just going to cancel my Tesla because we're not going to get that.
A lot of great names in the chat.
So many great names in the chat today. Mara, okay, look, there's a lot. I'm going to draw it. We're going to try it. Vin in the chat yesterday was telling me about trend lines are easier to draw if you use the line and then switch to candles. I need to start doing that. For now, I'm going to stick with my candles because I was talking yesterday. I was lamenting about my trend line struggles. But yeah, look at, oh, thank you.
I was going to hit it, but I'm like, you're already in something.
I mean, either way. Yeah, this 2250, look at this. Little Scotia consolidation, swoop down, come back up, more consolidation, swoop right back down, hit a lower low, then hit a higher high, relatively higher high, this 2230. Can we come back into 2250 again? I think if we break that 2250 area with a vengeance, with a viciousness, with the swiftness, I think that could be of interest here for Mara. We are less down in the day than we were earlier. The lowest I saw when I checked, which I'm not saying this is the lowest we were at, which was down 19%. So Mara recovering, but still very much having a bit of a weak time after the the BTC approval following the SEC Twitter debacle and all of those fun, exciting times there. Yeah, no, Darren Hilton saying as well, definitely try the bars. The lines almost draw themselves. Yeah, I need to try that because I think getting better at drawing trend lines, well, not obviously my main focus in life, would be a cool thing to do if I...
My main focus,
yeah,
I need to draw trend
lines.
lines.
That'd be so funny.
All right, we just got another beak wetter there at 84s on LAES. Next price target for the profit taker. That's what I mean by beak wetter, guys, in case you're new around here. I'm sitting at 290. The high a day on LAES is cool. Sorry. Stock, $2.98, essentially just a couple of pennies here in front of the 3. So if we get around 3, I'd like to de-risk the majority of the position because there's no telling what we do at high days. You know, sometimes we reject aggressively 20, 30 pennies only to get bought back up. That's what we call a specialist breakout. I explained what that was a little earlier on when we were talking about level 2s. The other thing I want to update you guys, we are 2 minutes away from the 30-year bond auction. You know, that typically doesn't have much of an effect on these small cap gappers, but it most certainly, if it's going to have an effect, it will likely have an effect on the market, and by extension of that, the Mag 7 and the big tech names. So, you know, we never really know what direction this is going to go, but you know, as a trend, there's been more demand for these treasury notes there as of late, vis-a-vis the lower yield. I've made this point before on the show, but you know, we always have new viewers. The higher the yield, the lower the demand was for that particular treasury note. The lower the yield, the higher the yield, the lower the demand. The lower the yield, the higher the demand. So when we get a print, we compare it to the previous print, and we kind of determine whether there was more demand or less demand. So keep your eye on that. That comes in 1 minute, but there's a bit of a lag, what I've noticed as of late, between actual 1 o'clock and the market's reaction. I don't know if that has anything to do with the logistics of the auction, with things not being released at exactly the right time. Whatever it is, I don't know what the reason behind it is. I just know that there seems to be a lag. All right, back to LAS here as we continue to print higher highs. The trend, the upward channel off that 2.5 is intact. We haven't really broken through that. We haven't made any newer lows. We haven't made any lower highs. It's been consistent, but you know, stair-stepping its way up, not flying like some of these small cap gappers typically do. But we're looking to de-risk the majority of the position in front of 3. I think Nick Dubb was asking me. He's like, "What's your price target on LAES?" My price target is always to hold a piece for the dream, but to de-risk the majority of the position. I know you like that. In front of that whole dollar area at $3. That's my hope, or I hate to use the word hope because it's not a strategy, but that's my intention, I guess is the better word. Here we go. Moving into that 288 area on LAES, just 2 pennies away from another beak wetter at that 10 penny area here, Adara 290. We're gonna wait for this, for what if we get a reaction from the bond auction on the market before we start the lesson. Adara is gonna be taking us through the lesson this time around. We've been talking all week about level 2, market depth, etc. The Kenobi, the Obi, the OB1 has been, was kind enough to be able to cover me on these last few days, and he was taking us through that lesson. Much better tape reader and level 2, proficient at using level 2 much more than I am. So it's great to have his input, I'm sure, for you guys and for your own education as well. So keeping an eye on these markets, I'm not seeing a reaction quite yet from the bond auction. We're 1 minute deep here, guys. If you get the yield result, please put it in the chat. Oftentimes, my app here is a little delayed.
I used it yesterday and it was taking me a while.
Kind of frustrating. Is a little delayed with the actual yield print. I got an hourglass under where it's supposed to be, so still packing my patience here, waiting for that reaction. The NQ is back above 16.8.5. It's not making any newer highs, and you know, it's not aggressive in its move, but it is green here on the 5-minute chart. Good 5-minute candle that's green. Here we go, coming into that 16.860, and there we go. We're breaking above 16.860 right now. Here we go. On the future, you can have a look. VWAP at that 16.8 3/4. So that would be my next possible resistance level here, VWAP, followed by 16.9, obviously the 100-point level I always keep my eye on. Decent move here for the future. Let me keep looking here. Nothing yet on the 30-year bond auction that I can see.
Oh, the sweet and salty nut putting it in here. 4.229.
Which is better than the previous print of 4.344. So we'll see if the market likes that. If it doesn't like that, we'll have to wait and see. The Katina man said there was an auction yesterday and did bubkiss. So
did nothing.
Yeah. So if that's going to be the the ongoing, then we may not have to really worry too much about these bond auctions midday, Adara. So we'll have to wait and see here. Yeah, Nvidia is pumping like an animal over here. Here we go, 550 coming.
Oh my God.
548. So possible 550 incoming here on Nvidia. Also Amazon knocking the door of that 155 as well. Meta coming into 368. good move up on some of these Mag 7 names there.
Yeah, I certainly concur. I'm literally Eli Lilly is making this like mirror kind of pattern. Tried to get in at that 632, which was one of my areas of interest. Didn't happen. I want to watch what we do at 634 because, like I said, I like that 634 area. Do we go higher? Do we go lower? Either way, I want to get involved. Lily's at a milli, and my interest is peaked. Are we ready to restart?
Yeah. Do you want to wait like another minute?
Yeah,
or,
sure, yeah. I'll wait another. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I think you should be good. If anything, we can just.
That's true. We can just.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get going then. Yeah. So we're gonna talk one more time. For level 2, not 1, not 3, but 2. And it's essentially the order book for NASDAQ stocks. So orders are placed through many market makers and other market participants. And level 2 will show you a ranked list of the best bid and ask prices from each of these participants. This gives you detailed insight into the price action, and knowing exactly who has an interest in a stock can be extremely useful, specifically for day trading. So like we said, this is not necessarily maybe going to be something that longer-term traders will be looking for, but it's very helpful for day trading because you want that liquidity. You want to be able to get in and out of those positions like a ninja, right? And we're going to talk today about how marketplace players can kind of manipulate some of that situations, right? So we've got the book here. This is kind of what we're talking about, right? So we've got size. We have the time at which orders are placed. We've got the price, and they're all kind of ranked down there. We've got some buy orders here for Lilly at 520, placed at 105, right? So I think, yeah, kind of an interesting look here on what we kind of have going on, how you can kind of see everything, peel it back like an onion, and take a look at what the market's really feeling. I like the book too because you can kind of see what prices people are interested in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what I find kind of interesting about it. What are players though in the marketplace? Who are we talking about? There are 3 types of players in the marketplace: market makers, electronic communications networks, and wholesalers. So market makers, MMs, if you will, these are the players who provide liquidity into the marketplace. They add a little bit of wiggle room here, give us some liquidity to move around because they're required to buy when nobody else is buying and sell when nobody else is selling. So in that way, they do, in fact, make the market. And then we have electronics communications networks, ECN. So electronic communications networks are computerized order placement systems, and anyone can trade through ECNs, even large institutional traders. We also have, last but not least, wholesalers or order flow firms. So a lot of online brokers are going to sell their order flow to wholesalers, and these order flow firms then execute orders on behalf of online brokers. So, and these brokers are usually going to be retail traders. So each market participant is recognized by the 4-letter ID that appears in level 2 quotes. So yeah, we have some different kind of market, I'm sure it's kind of going down through the market makers earlier today, but yeah, we've got like BAT, I've got like some 3-letter ones here, but yeah, it gives you kind of a sense of what gateways are using, what people are kind of getting involved here. So I think that's kind of an interesting look there. But what's the most important market maker? Well, the most important market maker is called the AX. And the AX will control the price action in a given stock. You can determine which market maker is the AX by watching the level 2 action for a few days. That's what we're talking about with with OB saying, like, recording the level 2, recording the tape, kind of seeing what's happening. It does give you kind of a sense. It requires probably a lot of patience. And as I was saying to Sharif earlier as well today, I'm assuming it requires a lot of just sitting there and kind of getting a sense of it and not reacting necessarily right away. But I think, certainly a way to kind of get a sense of how this type of movement occurs. We also have, so because it's the market maker who consistently dominates the price action. So why do we use level 2? Why is this something we're interested in here as traders? Well, level 2 codes can tell you a lot about what's happening with a particular stock. So you can tell what type of buying is taking place, retail or institutional, by looking at the type of market participants that are involved. Large institutions don't use the same type of market makers as retail traders, which is not actually something I knew. And I think an interesting thing to take away here and learn, which I appreciate. You also can tell when institutional traders are trying to keep the buying quiet. If you look at ECN orders, order sizes for irregularities, and this can mean that a buyout or accumulation is taking place. So I guess if you see an outsized order, then you can kind of get a sense like, hey, something fishy's going on. Old man hands, you might want to check that out. Like grandpa fingers wagging, like I don't know about that, right? So if you're kind of cognizant of this stuff, it can give you a sense of what's happening and be aware. So I think that's an interesting look as well. Number 3. you can greatly increase your odds of a successful trade by trading with the axe when the price is trending. So this is something I asked Sharif about earlier too. I said, is it like, a lot of people are understandably kind of like about market makers, right? So would you want to trade against them? And you were like, well, no, why wouldn't you trade with them?
If you are good enough to read the tape and determine where they are, what their intentions are by looking at where they're placing their largest bid at support and resistance area, trade with them. I don't know about you, but my personal account isn't enough to move Apple a quarter of a penny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't really want to take on these guys. You want to go with them.
Yeah, you don't want to like fight like a, like a giant lion or a bear or something, right? You want to like work with it.
Right.
I don't know how that works, but that's what you would do. And like because the axe provides liquidity, if you trade with it, right, like you can kind of help there because the axe, its traders are out there just to make a profit like everyone else, right? Like the axe will give liquidity, but they still want to make money. So if you figure out a way to trade with them rather than trading against them, that can be helpful. So numero quattro, pardon?
Adam's funny. Nothing. Just
giggling. So numero quattro, you can tell when a strong trend is about to come to an end by looking, oh, I like that rhymed, by looking for trades that take place within the bid and the ask, right? So not quite at the bid, not quite at the ask, but you want to see like, what's in the middle? What am I not seeing? What's trying to lurk in the shadows, right? And these trades are often placed by large traders who take a small loss to make sure that they get out of the stock in time. So that's when you can be like, oh, the tide is changing. You maybe want to protect yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Yeah. So I think that could be kind of an interesting look. It's another thing, another aspect of level 2 or the book that I didn't really understand. So I think that's cool too that we get to touch on that and learn about that today. So one of the more interesting parts of this, tricks and deception. So how can we kind of keep an eye on that here with the level 2 and with the book? So watching the level 2 can tell you a lot about what's happening, but there's also a lot of deception. There's a lot of trickery and tomfoolery happening in the level 2. So some of the most common tricks played by market makers, these include hiding order size. Market makers can hide their order sizes by placing small orders and updating them whenever they get a fill. And they do this to unload or pick up a large order without tipping off other traders and scaring them away. So it's kind of like a little sneaky way of kind of getting what you want without doing what we were saying earlier, where you can kind of sniff out what's happening. They're trying to they're like, nah, you're not going to sniff me out. And so they space it out by making these smaller orders. And nobody's going to attempt to push through a 500,000 share resistance, but traders might still think it's beatable if there's a 10% share resistance consistently, right? So it's kind of a way to fake out traders, get in your head, psych you out, right? So, but if you're aware of it, then maybe you can like,
and especially like if that so if you see a 10,000 share order, let's say, again, we've been using LAES at 290, okay? And then all of a sudden we get to 290, that 10,000 is gone, but all of a sudden it's refreshed. Right? Yeah. So they're not going to put their hand, they may be coming from different gateways. They may be coming through different ECNs. That's why it's so difficult to watch and to try to read all this stuff. And it takes a lot of practice, man. Yeah. That's why the Kenobi's sitting there recording his screen for 8 hours a day. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I'm sure it requires a lot of like kind of nuance. And I'm excited to get to learn some of this nuance. But yeah, it's a very weird, wonderful market out there in which we inhabit. And yeah, trying to find ways to get into it, I think are really interesting. Order sizes and timing, also of importance. Market makers occasionally try to deceive other traders using their order sizes and timing. So for example, JPMS, which is JPM's, which is that? The JPM's.
That's their ECN. So ECN, every whatever institution has a 4-letter ECN, like Goldman Sachs has their own, Morgan Stanley, and so that's JPM.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, they might place a large order, or any large ECN may place a large order to a large offer, to get short sellers on board, only to pull the order and place a large bid. So it's just like it's psychological fake outs, right? It's like market trickery, it's market magic, but like not in a fun way. And this will force the new shorts to cover as day traders react to the large bid. So timing is important, and kind of order sizing is important, just to kind of try, because they hold a lot of the power, right? These are like the larger money makers, or market makers, sorry, they have the money, right? So I think what they do can matter, and what they do can affect the market in really fascinating ways. Last point here, trading through ECNs, another type of trick and deception. Market makers can hide their actions by trading through ECNs, because ECNs can be used by anybody. And it's often difficult to tell whether large ECN orders are retail or institutional. So they can kind of fake you out in that way, right? Like it could just be, and again, like we were talking about earlier, the whole idea of actus reus versus mens rea that I was mentioning. It's like you don't necessarily know intention, right? Like you don't know if someone's going to be a retail or institutional trader, but you can kind of assume, right? And so I think this is kind of an interesting aspect as well. Also, D-Loaf asking you a question, which I think is interesting. D-Loaf here in the chat.
Yeah, I already
What's
answered
the happy median?
I
Oh, sorry,
answered
you
him.
did.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
mind.
I told him I'd have to think it over because
Yeah.
it's a really good question. I didn't really have the answer to it there. But D-Loaf, fantastic question. Let me mull it over, my man, because it's a fine line that you're talking about here. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, that's the lesson. Yeah.
Okay. I was just on my Instagram here perusing, and Zuck, our friend Zucky, just posted something on his Instagram. Now, people will remember that Zuck announced that he had a bunker.
Yeah.
And he spent an arm and 4 legs on this bunker.
4 legs.
And now he's given a sneak peek into his bunker. Suffice it to say, he has a theater in his bunker. Katina, man, look at this. Of course he has a theater, says Daniil. Of course he does. There's his wife going in, and then there's a full-blown theater that he's playing, whatever it is. What is that, Call of Duty? What is that? It's something like, it's a first-person shooter.
Did you see that code she had to put in to get in there too?
Darwin's hilarious. Who doesn't have a bunker and a home theater? All right?
I'd like to live in your world, Darwin.
Real. The Zucky is just like, he's doing his thing over there.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, says Jimbo Slice. All right, we all know their code, says Kling Daddy. Yeah,
you
gotta
punched
make it
it
in there. Yeah, but you gotta make it into the whole, let's call it, what is it, an estate, a castle,
I have
whatever.
to address Neil's very pressing question. Why wasn't she wearing shoes?
Yeah, well, she's in her own home.
I
right?
just think,
Like,
look, it doesn't look like a house though. It looks like a...
Ram, put it again. Ram's like, no. I don't know, man. I don't know why she's walking around barefoot, but the woman, she's in her own home. You know, if you can't walk around barefoot in your own bunker, where can you walk around barefoot? Right? No. And he was causing all sorts of like controversy yesterday. He posted on his Instagram that he's trying to perfect Wagyu meat, and then, oh my God,
sure
the vegans in the comments. Wow. I'll just leave it to you there, baby. But yeah, very interesting. Zuck the prepper, says Andrew Deere. Yeah, I mean, what else can you call a person with a theater in their bunker? He's clearly a prepper here. Somebody in the comments section was like, Zuck, what do you know that we don't know? Right? It's like, all right, man, calm down. Short NVIDIA off 550, says Slav Paradise. It's a nice level. It's a nice level. I don't like standing in front of these stocks that are moving up, but you do bring up a good point. We did get into that 550-ish level this morning. We cleared it by some distance, especially on the IB high there, 553.5 essentially. But here comes 550. We're about, let's say, 85 pennies away. We're at 549.10, 549.15. We've been pumping up here. It's been a V-shaped recovery, off that double bottom at 535. You have these 2 wicks, which were obviously bought up here by aggressive buyers. We've cleared essentially most of the levels, saving except for that $10 level at 550. We've blown through VWAP, which was at 544. All the moving averages are now pointing upward here on the 5-minute chart, and we are above yesterday's high. So yesterday's high was around 546. We've cleared that. The opening print at 5 a.m. was 547. Not like I put too much stock into that, but NVIDIA pumping up here. And I don't know how you feel, my man, but I don't particularly want to stand in front of this one. But you bring up a good point. 550 is a level. Look at LAES pump up here. Now we're talking about that $3 area. We've been holding this one for a possible move into 3, but I did say I would de-risk the majority of the position into 3, and I'm going to hold true to that. So let's go ahead and put a beak wetter here at 97s, because what's life without whimsy? We have technically a high of the day of 98. We are at 98 now. Here comes 97, and there's the beak wetter there at 97 gets filled. Now we're just waiting for the break of 3 on LAES. Now over 52% to the good on this bad boy. It has printed a fair share of volume 44.5 million shares, about 1 million shares coming in the last 5 minutes. There's plenty of liquidity on this one. It's been a tight spread for the entire time that I've been watching it. LAES continuing to pump to the high side. Can we get something above 3? Can we run into another resistance level? You know, one thing we didn't do, Adara, is we didn't chart LAES on the daily.
Oh.
And that's a mistake. So let's go ahead and do that now on the daily LAES. So it is a former runner. Right away, you can see it's a former runner by this huge wicking candle over here. When it does this, you just know, right? So this happened back on December 28th. Was a lot of volume. So it had a lot of volume yesterday, a lot of volume today, and on the 28th. On the 28th, though, it rocketed up to $3.90. But look at that. That is an ugly, ugly candle. Because I think the body of this candle maybe amounts to like 1/10 of the price range. Like, look at this. We opened up the day there at 118 and we closed at 135, 134. Yet we got up to 390. So this one can absolutely retrace, and it's shown its propensity to do so on previous days. But when you look at the more recent price action, like the price action on the 9th, 10th, and today the 11th, it has been steady moving up and not really retracing in the way that it did on the 28th here. So what I would say is definitely looking for resistance at that $4 level, give or take, because that's as good as we did on the 28th. So I needn't concern myself with any other level until we come into that level right there. But we did get a nice little touch at 298. Now we're coming right back down into that 290 area. We're going to have to wait to see if we can get the move through 3. Let's go ahead and put a beak wetter on the other side of 3. We're going to sit at 310, and we'll see what we get from there. Saad Mahmoud, OSCR still churning, guys. Worth a look, especially on the longer time frame. You want to have a look at Oscar?
Yeah, for sure. I will
OSCR.
I will look at OSCR. I did just get into Lily because we kind of are getting into my area. I'll just mention that quickly.
Good call out, Neil.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But first, I'll talk about OSCR. There's not too much happening in Lily right now. It took a minuscule share size, a scintilla of shares. Ooh, OSCR popping off here. He said daily, right? Oh yeah, I'll look longer, but yeah, look intraday. Look at this ascending wedge we had here. Higher low, flat top, swoop to the upside.
Yeah.
4 mil volume, not at all negligible. What to borrow a Sharifism there? What did we have on OSCR? Oscar Health. No news on this one right now. Let's look at our daily on OSCR. Ooh, okay, I see what you mean about the longer daily.
I like when you go, ooh.
I get excited, yeah.
I know, it's funny.
No, I think this sort of double top at 871 was a level, because with these little smaller runners, I always like to think of like where could we fall back from if we fall viciously, right? I think that this 860 area could be interesting. Then look, you know what? Actually, I'm even more confident in my 860 assessment, because look at this. Look where we bounced off this 860, 870 area. I like 860 as a level in case we fall to the downside. Let's zoom out even further. Saad asking about the weekly. The weekly is a nice breakout. Let's look at that weekly here. Ooh, I concur. I do concur. Yeah, I keep making like excited noises, but I really like this chart.
I like it.
The weekly, I think the 9 level is interesting because we broke out from the 9. I'm actually going to draw this because we're getting better at drawing trend lines, and we're trying to.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. 1, 2, we get a swoop down, make sort of a longer term frowny or roundy face move. And then we hit that 9 again, swoop back down. Almost, I guess, sort of a longer term double bottom at that 4 area.
Pretty higher highs though.
That is true. Yeah, no, I think it's a good look is what, yeah, like, cause like that, like kind of a roundy face, right? And then, or smiley face, or what have you. And then we break up into 10. Now it's interesting though too, because this breakout is almost identical to a previous breakout we had in this. So can we break this 10, 92, 11 area? We'll have to see. I mean, we have in the past. I would say that 13 area would be interesting with that in mind, because that was kind of the area from where we fell, from whence we fell from grace. So I would keep an eye on that 13. Thank you. Also, thank you so much, Nick W, for the super chat. Let's talk about Amazon about to break north side, coiling at the moment. Let's look at Amazon over here. Amazon. Let's go into the, I'm not at the time frame I want to be in here. Let's look at the 5-minute, because I like the 5-minute. Ooh, yeah, I concur. I agree. Sorry, these charts are making me really happy today. It's a good look on these charts. But yeah, look, like I like that we had this sort of double bottom-ish happening at this 154.30 once, twice. Then guess where we come and reject off of then 154, about 154.30 again, right? So former resistance, or yeah, support becoming resistance, sorry. Then we come back up, we break above it. Then we hold a support a little bit longer again at this 154.30, 154.50 area. I think that's interesting. We're about to break VWAP, which is, again, not always going to be an area of confluence or interest. Obi and I were talking a little bit about VWAP yesterday or Tuesday as well, and I think it was hopefully a good conversation because some people were saying, like, how do you use VWAP? And we were saying, well, it really depends. But yeah, I think Amazon, next kind of area of interest would be breaking that earlier high at that 155.30. Then I'd be interested in 155.70. Again, not advice, just my take on the chart. I do agree with you, though, Nick W., on this Amazon coil moment. Also, Rushaba, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, saying you got to kiss Obi's ring before you pull up the Amazon chart. Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Obi always
what
with
ring?
the Amazon.
He has got it. Oh.
He's metaphorical, right? But yeah, also Eli Lilly just hanging out around my point of entry. Nothing to report yet here on Mademoiselle Lilly. If we break below this, I took a tiny amount of shares
Oh my
here.
God, NVIDIA.
Let's look at NVIDIA.
Oh my goodness, NVIDIA knows no, it's squeezing and it's squeezing up aggressively. There goes 550. You know, this is people were talking about short off 550, and I think initially it did touch 550 and then it retraced right away. But then, as per usual, the bamboozlement was fast and it was furious. And here we go again. Like, we're not at a woods on the 550 short. Let's be real about it. We could retrace off this level. But the aggression with which NVIDIA is pumping up, especially off that 535 double bottom that we're looking at right here, it's been almost a V-shaped retracement. If we look at it on the 5, it will be a V-shaped retracement here on NVDA. But here we go. Why did this come back? I just removed it. Oh, my goodness. Can you take over for a sec while I fix this dark pool?
I can, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we talked about dark pools actually, interestingly enough, with regards to market depth on Tuesday, how they there can be a little bit of bamboozlement through dark pools. But yeah, just kind of being aware of how they came to be and what they do is kind of interesting. History is always interesting to kind of see how we got to the point where we're at, and I think that's kind of a cool look here. Also, I'm going to look at Netflix because a couple of people, including Nick W. or Nick Dub, and also Hog Rider mentioning Netflix. Yeah, Netflix, interesting. Like I said, Netflix breaking that 490 was of interest to me. I want to see now what we do at this 491 area. I think that could be a cool look. We will have to wait and see there on Netflix. But yeah, I mean, strong catalyst. We never broke this 484, definitely continuing higher. If we get a little bit rangier, I might get involved in this because I enjoy trading Netflix. Yeah, we'll have to see what's playing here on Netflix because I think it's certainly to the upside. We're all good now. Ooh.
LAES doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about $3. Here we go, pumping into 312 on LAES. Just a small position now as we break through 3. Got a print at 304 and then a print at 310 here. Let's see if we continue to pump. We were doing a daily look on LAES on the 28th of December. This bad boy ran into the high 3, so around 390 and change, just a smidge below 4. So let's just pack our patience here, see if we can get the move into that $4-ish area. It is now almost up 60% on the day. It's doing big boy volume at 47, almost 48 million shares a day, and 2 million shares on this bad boy in the last 5 minutes. So plenty of liquidity. 52-week lows on this bad boy, guys, 91 pennies. 52-week highs. I don't know if this is a closing basis print. I doubt it. $28.50. So if you're to use those 2 data points there, and you're looking at the highs, we've got plenty of upside room. I doubt we see anything near $28.50 today. Maybe we get that 4 touch that we've been talking about, but let's pack our patience and see what we get there. Neil was calling out something important in the chat. 16.9. I negated to mention this. Here we go. 16.9 coming up here on the future on the NQ March contract. We're definitely doing the wick dance from the south side where we're not printing above 16.9. We talked about the different levels. We talked about the red pivot point. Support level 1 on pivots being the first area of resistance that was supported by the IB low there. So the price action supported the pivot point. Then we talked about VWAP being the next, the next level that we had to break through. That's 16.8 3/4, so 75-point level. Now we're at the 100-point level on the NQ. So we're awfully close to taking that 16.9 again. And then if you're looking for another resistance level above 16.9, I point you to yesterday's close at 16.945. But I would say to you, the better level is probably that 50-point level at 16.950. We'll have to make it through 16.9 first. All this is moot until we blow through that level. NVIDIA is not clearing 550 with the vigor that I thought we would clear it out with. It's doing the dance here. You can tell there's an epic war happening here between buyers and sellers at this 550 level as you can tell people are initiating shorts here. And I'm not surprised by that, right? But let's see if this is a one-off 5-minute candle or we're going to start stair-stepping up through these levels and touch the high day, which is at 553.5. We got the same candle over here where there was a bit of a tug and war at 549 between buyers and sellers. Same thing happening here at 550. Let's wait for that to kind of unfold. No skin in the game on this one on NVDA on the day, but it is definitely, I would say, looking like the strongest of the bunch at the moment in terms of Mag 7. But if you're to throw in Netflix maybe as the Mag 8, Netflix outperforming NVIDIA on the day, up 2 1/3% on the news that it was making big boy money off its ad tier. So we'll have to wait and see how both those trades manifest. But yeah, keeping an eye here on the future as we flat top here at 16.9. And I don't know. Obviously, you never really know exactly how these are going to go, but something tells me there's going to be some confluence here between 16.9 and 550 on NVDA, being the 1.3 trillion market cap that it is now, Adara. Wow, look at LAES give up the ghost at 3. It pumps into 315, and now we are south of $3 now, $2.95. The trend hasn't broken though. And that's the thing. So, I'm long 264, so no need to panic here. More like let's analyze what's going on. The higher lows and the higher highs are, that trend is still intact ever since that $2.50 bounce, essentially a VWAP bounce here on LAES. Even though we got that rejection off 3, kind of to be expected, we did know that there was going to be resistance at 3, the whole dollar level, and that's why I made it very clear that I was de-risking in front of $3. But let's, again, just because I was de-risking doesn't mean anything. I mean, the stock can continue to run. So let's see what it does here at that $3 area, whether we can continue with this upward trend of higher highs on higher lows on LAES. Otherwise, we're going to cut this entire thing here at break even because, well, I'm just holding a small piece and it's all good there. So let's continue to wait and see. NVIDIA still doing the dance with no pants here at 550. But it does look like it may turn, especially if we reject 16.9. This could not be a good look for NVIDIA. And whoever was telling me in the chat, short at 550, if you end up taking this and it end up tanking off 550, you're going to look like a dang genius. But I still would not have taken the trade just because my system doesn't allow me to do this. I'm a trend following trader, and this would be counter trend for me. I'm just speaking for myself here. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we are moving down here on LAES. Let me ask you something, Adara. So
I'm excited.
Now, you clearly see the higher highs and higher lows here. I mean, you don't have to be a super chartist to see this, right? We got the higher lows there, and then let's just do the little higher highs thing here. Mm-hmm. Do you think I should wait until my entry, which is right here, or do you think that if it breaks this consolidation level at 285, that it's no good anymore? What do you think about that? Look how it flips. Look how the top over here is, that's the resistance. And then we flip up and all of a sudden this top becomes this bottom. Oh, so if we give up this area over here, is my trade no longer valid? And I don't mean to put any pressure on it because I don't know the answer.
Okay, I mean, I think beyond, I want to say too, look where we consolidated earlier too, it's around the same area.
Right.
So I think that could actually be a key area, but then again, we filled it and recovered from it earlier, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. LAES is just behaving in a very different way.
Small cap capper way.
That's true, right? It's doing that small cap gapper thing. But no, I think honestly, I don't know.
A bit of a tough one, huh?
You know what I might say too? I don't want to assume a head and shoulder, but I think it could be retracey. If we break below that 285, I think it could be retracey.
Yeah?
So I would maybe say 285, but I don't want to like speak out of turn. I just think that area.
You're never speaking out of turn. That's
Like,
number
you did
one.
ask
Number
us.
two, I asked you, right?
Yeah, I see. Okay. No, I appreciate you asking me. I think my opinion on this is this consolidation just looks really strong. This
It is
285
interesting,
level. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
if we break it, it could get us ghost dicey for LAES. That's my take on that. And thank you for asking me. That was fun to look
Of course. What else we got here? Let's see what the chat is up to. Top VOIP. See a great bargain on BEKE long here, 1509 should test again. Let's have a look at BEKE for our friend Trinity 3R. All right, let's pull that up. I'm assuming that's NASDAQ, and I assume wrong. It's New York. There we go. And he or they, I'm not sure if it's a man or woman, what they say. Oh, that wasn't Trinity 3R, it was top VOIP. 1509 should retest again. Hello, computer. Let's have a look at this bad boy. Well, number one, I'm a little suspect of it because the volume is not to my liking. On the day, it's got about 3.4 million shares, 3.5 million shares for, that's not bad for a $15 name. Let's see what we got. This is the 1 minute look. We did have a beautiful double bottom here at 14 2/3. That's a great hold. Clearly a buyer at this level. And then we clearly had a top over here at 14, let's say 85. We've broken through that top. That was tested on 2 occasions, both of which rejected until it eventually broke in here just in the last 10 minutes or so. So not a bad look. Let's zoom out just, oops, let's zoom in just a bit. Oh, that's too far. So what's the high on the day? The high on the day is 1509. But that was done right at 9:30, and that's on, that's the IB high. I wouldn't be gunning for 1509. Let's see, based on the notional range today with a 1467 low and a 1509 high, I'd be happy with a 14 penny winner at 15 bucks, but I'm not going to participate in this name, especially being up only 0.85%. Thank you for showing me that, though. Trinity 3R. I have to read these comments before reading them out. Please explain, what exactly is dance with no pants? I find myself saying it to my kids all the time now, and I don't even know what it means. I did never intended for you to use that as a term with your children. I do find that funny. I really don't have an exact definition. I mean, what I use it to mean is like an indecisive area. And I don't know how I made it that, but let's just go with it, okay? Saad Mahmoud, depends on your risk. If you're looking to add, there's a ton of things to consider. Saad, what are you talking about?
I think LAES. I think that was when we were talking about that.
Okay. Oh, I see.
I think.
Well, look, if it breaks this level, I mean, if it breaks this consolidation area level over here, below 280, I wouldn't be adding. That's just my personal choice. Yeah, it's a good point. Look, I'm definitely not one of those traders who's good at adding to a winning position. I'll just tell you that offhand right away. That's never been my forte. All right, Nick Dubb, Amazon break. Yes, sir. Amazon is through 155 now as it got off the schneid there, as my friend Neil likes to say, off that 153. Not a lot of notional move here on AMZN, but not bad either, especially with the huge pop there on the IB high, the implied volatility high. Implied balance high, excuse me, through that 157. We're still a couple of bucks off that high, but above VWAP now and in positive land as we broke through 153 3/4. That was yesterday's closing print. We held, look at this. We held the pivot point at T, man. I love these pivot points.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And look how we keep kind of dancing with.
It was repetitive.
Oof, this is a good look.
At resistance level 1. So we'll have to wait and see what we get on Amazon, but it's a good look through 155 now on AMZN. The Nvidia trade off off 550, looking good for now. Let's see what it does, but it's a nice rejection off 550. We're at low 49s right now. Let's see if we continue to head back down here on NVDA, but definitely encountering resistance at that $10, $50 level, whatever you want to call it. At 550, not a bad look here for the shorts, especially if you were scalping on NVDA. And then again here, back on the future, we keep knocking on the door of 16.9. We haven't cleared it with any vigor or at all, I should say, yet. on this ascent, this latest ascent, have we? No, they're all at 99s, 97s, all the high prints here. So we're awfully close. And there we go. We just got a 9 print on NVDA. So let's see if we can get that continued move up, possibly into break even, which takes us into 16,946. But I'm shooting for that 5.0 area on NVDA. And just like that, LAES reclaims $3. So the higher high, higher low trend for LAES continues to be intact. We haven't printed a new higher high above that $3.14 area, but good look here on LAES as it holds $3, holding the piece for the dream. Let's see if we can make it up into that December 28th high, near $4, guys. 20 minutes left on the show before the big kahunas take over. Let me just tell you quickly here what the float is on LAES. 7.5 million share float. Small, but not micro. We've definitely been trading stuff that's a lot smaller than that lately, especially some of these Chinese small cap gappers that show up that sometimes have less than 500,000 share float. So this is definitely not one of those, but definitely small, using just normal standards. Young Fuzz. It's a sick name, bro. Any chance you could take a look at OPK? Of course I can. Let's go. Since you asked very nicely, I like
Very kindly.
Yeah, of course. So who are we going to get rid of here? Let's go of SPEC, OPK.
Pick one of those charts out of here.
All right. Yeah, I know, right? OPK. All right. Let's pull up the deets on this bad boy. So OPK goes by OPCO Health. And there it's down about 4.9%, 5% on the day. The float is big, 450 million shares. It has a $742 million market cap. This is the 5-minute look on OPK. Let's look at the daily to figure out if there are any obvious support or resistance levels. It looks like we huadunked here on the 3rd and on the 4th, losing quite a bit of the company's value off that 165, let's call it, flat top that we couldn't break through. And then, yeah, big move down here, breaking through key support level at $1.20. So this $1.20, $1.25 support held up for a number of days between, let's just say, mid-October to mid-November. So we had a month of support at that $1.20 area, and now we're south of it. So if we continue to make a move up, I would say look at a $1.20, number one, as your resistance level, because support flips to resistance, right? That's number one. Number two, we were south of $1. So even though we are above $1 right now, are we? Let me just double check quickly. No, we're south of $1 right now on OPK. So we're at 96 pennies. So it looks like we tried to break through the dollar. We got to $1.03, double top there, institutional order, then the IB high at 930, rejected that. North of VWAP right now. Tough one here, especially with the liquidity being suspect. 101 close yesterday, $1.01 on OPK. I don't like this stock. I personally wouldn't take it long. You are basing out, you are above VWAP. I would say, if you can clear 98 pennies, maybe you do a test of a buck, or, maybe take that dollar breakout. I don't really have a good suggestion for you on this name. It's not one that I would trade, so definitely not in my wheelhouse. Sorry, Young Fuzz. Nimit. Finally, out of Roma, quite a stressful trade to average the book profit. Would have been much better if I had gone in LAS with you. No worries, man. ROMA was a bit of a bamboozler. Look at that. You got a nice pop up. So shout out to you. You got that move up on ROMA through that 6 1/4, and then you huadunked immediately back into 5 1/3. I mean, that's what a specialist breakout looks like, to just get you offside and quick. This is the 5-minute look. Let's look at how it looked on the 1 minute. Not much better on the 1 minute. Now it's halted. ROMA halted to the downside at 535, having done 36 million shares on the day, south of VWAP. But it did try to take VWAP. This was an incremental move up. On the 5-minute, it looked a lot more instant. Now when you look at it on the 1 minute, it was definitely incremental. But yeah, halted to the downside. Wasn't able to make a newer high. We'll see what it does. If it's able to reclaim VWAP here and quickly, then we'll have to wait and see. VWAP here does factor in as important level of resistance. Look at what it did here at VWAP from 1258 all the way to 105. It was multiple rejections off VWAP at this level. So it's playing a part. It's playing a part. So let's see if we can get above VWAP. We'll maybe have a different discussion about that. Moving down here on the, yeah, you're welcome, Young Fuzz, no worries. Bob is my uncle. Please see my question earlier. Sure, let me just scroll up here. Bob's my uncle. NVIDIA FOMO is killing me. I don't see it. Dude, just tag me with it. Bob's my uncle. Just tag me again.
Oh, what are the pivots? What are the pivots?
Oh,
You're asking about what
yes,
the pivots
yes, pivot points. It's basically it's a system. What it does is, let me pull up a good example over here. So let's go to, yeah, why not? Let's go into Amazon. Sorry, Microsoft. So this green line, the dotted green line on my chart, that's the pivot point. The pivot point is made up of 3 data points from the previous day's trading. So today's pivot point is based on 3 data points from yesterday. It's based on the closing print at 4 o'clock from Microsoft. It's based on the high and the low. You add those bad boys together, and then you divide by 3, and that's your pivot point. Off that number, off today's pivot point number, you then are able to calculate resistance level 1, resistance level 2, as well as support level 1, support level 2, okay? The computer does all the additions and calculations for you. You needn't do anything yourself, right? It's just good to know, you know, what the hell it is and how to calculate it. We did an entire day on pivot points. If you just go into the, oh, perfect segue here. If you go into the Day Trade the World YouTube page, oh, not Day Trade the World, Trader TV, excuse me, YouTube page, you click in this bad boy, and you hit this search button over here. You can type in pivot points, and there you go. Adara and I's lesson from 1 month ago is right there where we talk about pivot points.
Month ago.
Yeah, can you believe it? It's streamed 1 month ago. I know. Oof. Tell me about it. So you can learn all about pivot points and utilize the search feature on the Trader TV Live YouTube page. It's fantastic. Like, and I use this one all the time, VWAP. Look what, Neil has an excellent video over here, trading VWAP for huge profits on Plug Power from 2 years ago. I hate Plug Power. But Neil makes it look good, and yeah, that's his video on that there. So make sure, if you are unfamiliar with some of the terminology that Adara and I are saying, Neil and Sean, Brendo, anybody who's on the show, if we use a term that you're not familiar with, go after the show, type it in here in the search, and almost certainly there's going to be something that can help you out there. So just want to shout you out for that. And yeah, that's what pivot points are. And as you know, I've been incorporating them into my trading routine as of late. So that's my look there.
Yeah, I'm just staring like at the Tesla chart, like it like stole my child or something. I'm freaking out at this. I got involved in this long. I thought we were breaking out of this very well-defined range I've been talking about all day. That 226.25 to that, or that 226.50, sorry, to that 227. I thought we broke out. Now Tesla decided we didn't. I'm kind of panicking here, I have to say. If we decisively break below into that 226.50 area again, I'm outie. I mean, I know I'm in Tesla, but I will be outie. Let me talk about Lily though, because I like this trade. I know I got out of this a skosh early, but you know, like I said, I feel like I'm just trying to get kind of happy being scalpy, right? Also, DVRD saying, let's turn Tesla into BOVESPA. I hope so. Right now, I have to say, I don't have a lot of faith in Tesla, but I'd like to. But yeah, no, so I got out of Lily where I did because I liked this kind of, I think really the level was a bit higher. It was like high and more in the mid to late 635, 60s, but I got it about 635.25 because I wanted to give it a little bit of room, right? So it was more than a dollar mover. I mean, paper dollar, but still. I did like this look here. With Lily, I'm happy I got a chance to trade it today with the volume above a milli, and I waited for my levels. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as I go on this journey, I'm just trying to find a style that I like, you know what I mean, and kind of get comfortable with this.
I never asked you your opinion on actual Tesla cars. I did ask your opinion on the Cybertruck, but that's not really, that doesn't matter.
Let me look at some of these.
You know them off by heart. They're so all over the road. I mean, the Model Y and the Model 3.
Yeah, I said like Uber. I find also, I'd like to, my one thing though is I find people who Uber and Teslas, I'm a little like, I don't know.
Would
I
that
feel
choose a green Uber? Because you can choose EV.
I didn't even,
Uber,
well,
right?
I just choose the normal Uber, but I feel like when you get in Teslas, they always get like really weird about you being in their car. And I'm like, then why are you an Uber driver? 'Cause I
Really?
feel like I've never had a chill experience with a Tesla Uber driver. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
Maybe this is
Okay.
a conspiracy. Maybe this is Toronto specific. But I have to say, they've not been bad experiences actually. One guy got really stressed out though. He's like, what, like I have a Tesla. I'm like, yeah, I just want an Uber.
Okay.
Like,
So?
cool. Like, the bus is having issues. Uber me. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird time. I think physically though, like I said, I like the doors. I forget what kind of door it was. But
That's a Model X.
I like the Model X.
The spider doors?
I like
yeah,
the
that's
spider
Model
doors.
X. It's like the priciest model.
Yeah.
Well, after the Cybertruck. I think the Cybertruck
That's
will be
true.
more.
Yeah, I also said I like the Cybertruck wraps, like the blue wrap. I like the pink wrap, like a Barbie
Do you like
Cybertruck.
the run-of-the-mill Model 3 and Model Y?
Me too. I
'Cause
wanna
those
look at
are
these
like
to
the two
compare.
that you'll see most on the road, right? I think the Model Y is their best seller.
Ooh, okay, the Model 3 is kind of a sleek little dude. I like it. I like the Model 3. Like I like this white Model 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, yeah, it looks kind of like a sleeker version of the VW buggy. And I have to say, or the Beetle. I like the Beetle.
And that's not even the updated one. Click their red
Oh,
one.
the red
Click
one?
their red. That's the updated model right
I like
there.
the non-updated one better, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because it looked a little bit. I like the boxier, like little
Okay.
rounder cars. I don't
You're
know.
entitled to it. But I got to tell you, I love the refreshed look on the Model 3 and
The Model
on the
Y I
Model Y.
like too.
And the Model
Yeah.
Y is like, it's got a lot more room and it's more SUV-ish. But you know what's jokes about the Model Y?
Let me
Is
look
that
at
it's
this.
not actually high. They actually have the seats on platforms in
Really?
the Model Y to make it feel like it's an SUV. It's not actually high up. Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's a little 411 for you there.
Yeah, I like-
Model
I
S
like this
Plaid is
look.
the next highest price. Sorry about that. Yes.
No, it's okay.
You're right. The Model S. I didn't think that the Model X Plaid was more expensive than the tri-motor Cybertruck. I figured the Cybertruck tri-motor would probably be more expensive than that, but it's not really the big deal. Eddie R, the Tesla Roadster was cool. Yeah, that's the first car they came up with. I think 2008 or 2009 was the release. And then he launched it into space. And then like the Tesla Roadster is floating somewhere near Mars right now. It's so funny. You know he launched it, eh? On his Super Heavy. What is that? Neil, what is that rocket called that he uses? The big one. The Super Heavy or something like that. Anyway, it's like basically launching heavy projectiles with a lot of mass so you can get it into orbit outside of what they call low Earth orbit. You're able to get it away from Earth as much as possible and like to get it to Mars.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he was testing that Super Heavy and the thing that he chose, the Falcon Heavy, thank you. The thing that he chose was a Roadster to launch into space.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and there's like a
he did.
camera attached to the Roadster too, so you could see it like flipping relative to the Earth. It was hilarious.
What?
Yeah.
What a guy.
Of course,
What
it's
a guy.
Elon Musk. Yeah?
Elon. That's so funny to me.
That 550 short on Nvidia is paying right now, Adara, because now we
Oh,
are
it
moving
is?
back into 547 and a third, and that was whoever took that 550 short. Good on you, baby. Because
this
I
is a
wouldn't have
good
taken that
look.
trade.
Well,
But
I wouldn't have taken it either. I tried to short. We saw me try to short Nvidia on Monday and how that was. I had a successful short in Nvidia yesterday, but that was very rangy. Like I thought it was a range scalp. I think it's fine. I saw someone, I think it was Bob's my uncle, earlier talking about Nvidia FOMO. I think the best thing to kind of cure FOMO, at least in my very limited experience, is just remember what kind of trader you are. Do you know what I mean? Because that was my issue.
Dang.
Is when I tried to trade Nvidia, I was trying to short it because I was like, oh, I kind of sad I didn't get in the long, and then we kind of made a bit of a mistake there. But then why my Nvidia short yesterday was successful, I think, was it was just there was a bit more trend coming off of it, right? It wasn't just a pure FOMO move, and B, it was like a scalp, which is what I'm comfortable with. I range scalped it short. It was still slightly counter trend. We were still up on the day, but there was more confluence to support that decision. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it is. I think being important, or not being important, I think being comfortable in the style you're trading makes a difference and is important. That's where the important comes in. But yeah, I think that's a good move. Also, I did scalp 10 paper cents off of BOVESPA. I know that's a small move, but I know that we kept flopping off of that 227.35, so I was like, we're gonna take 10 cents here and we're gonna say bye-bye. We're gonna let the Cybertruck drive away with the spider doors. Or I guess that's not the spider, that's the Model X.
But they do open up 90 degrees, so it makes everything super easy to get into the Cybertruck because they do that 90-degree thing. All right, Adara, we are knocking on the door of my beak wetter at $3.19 on LAES. The high a day now on LAES, I think like 1 penny south of that at 318. We're sitting here at 319. Look, we charted this bad boy on the daily, and on December 28th, this wicked up, even though it was not even close on a closing basis, but it did wick up near that $4 area. So, you know, I was theorizing that we could come some sort of, you know, somewhere around there, right? It doesn't have to be that $4 exactly, but that's the closest resistance level that we have to the current price action we're at. We keep coming into that 318. There's a big seller now at 17. He's getting eaten up. There we go. 18's coming in. 19's. There's the fill. And there goes LAES to the upside again. Not many outs on this one left, but this one continuing to pump now at 320 Adara. Let's see if we can get into that 4-ish area. Where do we find the short? I don't even know what the short float is on this. We didn't load it up on Trade Ideas. We'll do that in a second. But now we are 63 2/3%, 64% now to the good as we come. We're having definite trouble at 20. So there is a hidden seller here at 20 because there's not enough size here on the book to warrant that rejection, especially the amount of volume we just got in here. So I'm thinking there is probably a hidden seller at 20. Let's see if we can break through that level on LAES. Good luck today for this name. What else is the chat up to here? On Andrew Ditter. I found out why they call it plaid. The plaid is applied to the performance model and is a reference to the only speed faster than Ludacris in the movie Spaceballs.
Oh,
You're
that's
kidding.
funny. I didn't know that.
That's hilarious.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he's got a way of using old names from things like Beast. What's it called? The Beast Mode.
Oh, beast mode.
Yeah. He uses stuff like that out of like popular culture.
That's really cool.
Like name his stuff.
I
so.
would do that if I owned like a car company or something. When I was a kid, I was always like, I think it'd be really fun to name cars. I don't know why this was like a thing, but I was like, I think like the people who name the car models, I was always kind of like, that's a cool job to have.
Especially in the 90s. You remember some of these names like the Acura Integra, like Integrity, the
Right?
Acura Legend. Right, it's legendary, right? I mean, I loved some of the 90s, 80s
Yeah, the
names.
Nissan, I feel like Nissan Elantra. To me, that always had like such presence.
Yeah.
The Elantra, right? So I don't know. I think that's kind of a fun time there. But oh yeah, bang button. Also, yeah, congrats to people in BOVESPA trying to break above VWAP, not quite making it yet. Adam DeLu saying you need to stay in Tesla. You can take out a small position or even 80, 90, but keep a runner. The thing is, I don't really trade after the midday. You know what I mean? Like I've said, so I kind of was gonna get out anyway. But I do appreciate what you mean. If I was here longer, I probably would have kept a little bit of it. I also took a small amount of shares to begin with, so that was just kind of my. But I appreciate that.
Nvidia is at 550 again, so that scalp short paid. It paid $3. Let's be real about it. If you took that 550 short and you danced with Nvidia, if you had the guts to do that, fantastic on you because you took about $3 on that. But here we go again, 550. Now we're about to. Are we going to make high day? Where is high day? No. High day is at 553. Already talked about that. But this consolidation high through 551, possibly incoming here as the volume really picks up and the aggression with which the buying is taking place right now is very eye-opening on NVDA. 1 1/3% to the good now. There we go, moving into 5.
Oh my God.
Yeah, into 550 and 2/3. Can we get a 3/4 break? We're awfully close to 3/4. I feel like an auctioneer when I do this. I love it.
I know. You do it so well. Yeah.
I get excited. 551 incoming, definitely here on NVDA. Let's see if we get, a wall of sellers at that level, because that's exactly what happened last time. We rejected there and we moved down about $3. So could this repeat, or was this kind of, just a momentary retracement on a very aggressive up move off that 535, 551 incoming here? The fuge has broken through 69 right now, and this is probably why NVDA is pumping through 550. The fuge coming into yesterday's close. We talked about this level, 16,950 minus 4 points or so is the previous day's close. We've taken VWAP, we've taken 16.9. Now the next level standing in front of us is the previous day's close. Let's see if we can get through that. 3 minutes left on the show, Adara.
Yeah, no, that's a real. I like also how the NQ and SPY are kind of moving in tandem with each other, or the ES, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's kind of an interesting look, but I think what's interesting too is the NQ kind of holding these pivot points a bit better, like one bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce. I think kind of an interesting, or not a bounce, but kind of fell.
No,
but I
you're
think
right.
the point is it's kind of an interesting time. You know what I
This
mean?
one has really had my attention.
Oh, no, I saw it. Well, yeah, because you read
And
like,
this
that double.
rejection too into pivot point.
That's
Look at
true,
that,
too.
right?
And then look, we just crossed over that with a
Exactly.
vengeance and everything goes
Yes,
running.
ma'am.
I love support and resistance. And I
Dang.
think I've learned a lot about that being here. And, so I really appreciate that. Also, lots of people very down for your auctioneer voice and your auctioneer. And you're very good at it. I think,
I suck, trust me.
No, I enjoyed that. I think that was a very fun time. Bears versus Bulls set going once, twice, and sold.
Ah, there we go.
Claps to that.
But it's only that easy.
Right. I mean, yeah, like you can't. The thing is too, like, unlike an auctioneer who would actually get sales, we're just saying it to say it, right? And the market's gonna do, because it does not care about your feelings or your auctioneer voice, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't, sadly.
But yeah, no, I mean, quite a day. It feels like the time went by really quickly here on the market. Also, thank you, Adam DeLuce. You've learned a lot. Great to see.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, and I think, I credit everybody in the chat to that. I credit you, Sharif, for that. I credit everyone on the floor. Sean, Neil, Brendan, Obi, everyone in the back. So I think it's like I said,
Isn't that the
this
beautiful
community.
thing about being on a trading floor?
Yes.
Like, you have no idea the amount that I've learned since I've been on this floor versus the 2 years that I was trading at home.
Yeah.
Like, it's been exponential. And I was watching the show for like morning from start to open.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah, 'cause I
like,
know you were
there's
into,
only
like,
so
the-
much that they can talk about when they're trading. You know what I mean? Like, and they just can't get to all the questions. Just like us, right?
So,
and there was no us back then. It was just them.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's true,
memes
too.
and movers came in like almost 2 years deep into the show.
That's
right?
crazy.
That's what it used to be called, the midday show. Now, not even the midday show anymore. It's called Learn to Trade.
evolution.
Evolution.
That's what we. Oh,
yes.
there we go. How to trade. Sorry, we're called How to Trade.
How to trade. Yeah, I know. I should really know what my show is called.
look at us there on the bottom. Oh, fail.
I know. Sorry, Fabian. Was that Ram? It's Ram
I was
trolling
gonna
me
say,
as
I feel
usual.
like that's not really a Fabian move to fail you for that.
15 seconds left on the show, Adair.
50
Wind it
seconds
down.
left. Yeah, let's do it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. Great to have Sharif back. Thanks again to Obi for holding down the fort.
Yes.
And we will chat more about market depth tomorrow. But for now, we will hand you back over to the big desk. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Brenda's at the big desk.
Market back to highs here as we get into the final couple hours of what has been a bit of a reversal day for the overall market, bit of a reversal day.